And now, fans, on behalf of our Grand Marshal, Boo Weekly, it's now time for the most famous words in motorsports. Drivers, start your engines!
The build-up and anticipation for the biggest short track race of the year now starts to breathe towards its start as we get set for the 58th annual Snowball Derby presented by Flow Sports. 34 cars going to partake in this event here today after 36 locked their way into the show in what was a uniquely scheduled opportunity between qualifying and a last chance race. A couple of drivers had to withdraw from the event. More on that in a few moments. But Adam, we got to this point yesterday where we got the engines fired, but the weather did not cooperate. These drivers, and you could tell by some of the sights and sounds that we got to absorb during that opening ceremonies, you could tell just by looking on the faces of these drivers, they are ready.
They are ready to go. They've been ready. Anxious. Anticipation to get these cars rolling at speed after very few laps have been turned on this racetrack all week long. Joe's Racing Product pit reporter Bob Dillner.
We are excited to get things kick-started today with the 58th running of the Snowball Derby, and all of these teams are as well. You can feel the anxiousness build as they walk to their race cars, and the teams took the tire pressures here today. But one driver trying to make history here today, Ty Majeski, starting on the outside of the front row. Majeski is hoping to become the only other driver other than Rich Bickle to win 3 or more races in the Snowball Derby. And if you take a look at the last few years here at the Snowball Derby, that outside front row starting spot, very valuable. The last 4 winners have come from the second place starting spot, third prior to that. So qualifying up front is very important here at the Snowball Derby. We'll see how it pans out for Ty Majeski, who feels he has a very good race car here today. To Jim Trado.
Bob, when it comes to this race and how special it is, there are 45 cars attempting to qualify for the field. Rolling today, 9 first-time drivers, highlighted by Carson Brown. He'll start 17th in his very first Snowball Derby. In Anthony Campany's powerhouse Super Late Model team, that number 81 Chevy has raced here before. It's Carson's first year, first time at the Derby, but he led the first 75 laps of the ASA Stars race here in March. He was hoping for a better qualifying result, but more importantly, legends are made. That's a phrase they've used time and again for the Snowball Derby. And as Carson Brown rolls on, if he were able to win, it reminds me of the day that Eric Jones showed up for his first Snowball Derby in 2012. That family team went on to win. He beat Kyle Busch that day. The next year, Kyle Busch put him in his race car, and Eric went back-to-back at age 16 and 17 in the field. If Carson Brown is able to do it, my goodness, his Richard Childress contract is definitely a solid gold signing. Recently, Carson Brown has signed on with Childress as a development driver, so Carson Brown, a lot going on, but more importantly, legends can be made here at the Derby. We're now looking live at the left front of Chase Pincinel's number 14 Chevrolet. For Carson Hocevar Racing Development. Something going on here. Again, these cars sat for a long time. Only a couple of pace laps before we brought them back to pit road last evening. Left front shock, it looks like, on the upper is what they're adjusting here on Pincinel's Chevy. He'll start the tail once they roll, if they roll in time for the green flag.
Thanks, gentlemen. Have some fun down there. Early drama for Pincino, who you see by virtue of our speed shot still on the pit lane, working on that left front tire. He will forego his 30th spot. He was the last car in on qualifying that took place, seems like a couple of days ago. But he did time his way into the show and was elated to not have to sweat out that last chance race. But as Jim mentioned, he will have to drop to the rear as the field continues on with their parade and pace laps. Let's take a look at our starting lineup for the 58th annual Snowball Derby. His second pole for veteran driver Preston Peltier, alongside a multi-time winner of this race, Ty Majeski, on the front row. Hudson Bolger and Jake Finch make up row 2. Finch had a hard crash in the snowflake, probably happy he had an extra day to rest up before this race. Row 3, Spencer Davis of Dawsonville, Georgia, and a great qualifying run from Michael Atwell, who will start 6th.
Jace Hansen had a great race car a year ago. He starts on the inside of row number 4 in the 7th position. A good starting spot for a driver who finished 4th last year. David Gilliland, oldest driver in the field this year at 49 years of age, starts starts outside of row 4. He has a strong race car. Hayden Plybon, a 20-year-old driver from the West Coast, starting inside of row 5. And Casey Klein, another driver from Washington. That row made up of Washington drivers starting 10th. Dylan Fetcho, Dawson Sutton, Tennessee drivers in row 6.
The hottest driver in Super Late Models, Cole Butcher, won championships across multiple platforms, starts inside of row 7 alongside California native Jacob Gomes. Actually a pair of Snowball Derby winners, Derek Thorne and Kate Honeycutt, are going to make up row 8. The aforementioned Carson Brown in his inaugural Derby chance alongside of Tristan McKee, also making his first Derby start in row number 9.
Max Reeves, one of 2 drivers unable to make the call today. Bubba Pollard outside of the row, making his 18th Derby start today, looking for win number 1. Derek Kraus inside of row 11. Trayton Lapsovich starting outside in position 22. Casey Roderick back at a Super Late Model inside of the next row.
Buddy Shepard, Dustin Smith going to make up row 13. Ryan Priest scheduled to start inside of row 14. He had to withdraw from the event. Brandon Lopez making his first Snowball Derby in a Super. Cole Rash, Chase Pinsino take you through your top 30 starters.
Kyle Busch, Stephen Nasse, a pair of 51s in row 16. Derek Griffith, Jake Garcia. Then it's Matt Craig, Gavin Bushell taking provisionals in our final row.
34 starters getting set to tackle this half-mile racetrack as we are 1 lap away from kicking off the mecca of short track racing here at the Flags Speedway. Adam, you've been part of this race for several years, more than a decade, approaching 2. What are the emotions for all these drivers, teams, and even us?
Just so different this year because of the anticipation, the buildup, the anxiousness, the lack of laps on the racetrack, so many different things. This has been atypical this year. 57 degrees, a breezy day today. The pace car drops to pit road. Preston Peltier, Ty Majeski get the 58th running of the Snowball Derby presented by Flow Racing underway in Pensacola.
Peltier is going to get the drive off of turn 4 to lead lap number 1. It's going to be Majeski second, Finch up to third after Hudson Bolger had a bit of a slide in 3 and 4 in the opening go around. Top 2 clear by themselves in front of the pack.
We had some surprises among our top 10 in qualifying a couple of nights ago. Will be interesting to see how those cars stay in the top 10 or if they start to fade after some laps. Big contact. Spencer Davis, the 96. Michael Atwell in the 3. They continue on.
And that's Jace Hansen on the inside in the 08 trying to get by. Gilliland washes up a little bit wide behind him in the 98 car, losing a spot to Hayden Plybon in the 55. And Dylan Fetcho in the 89 was very vocal about his thoughts on the racing conditions. Should this event have happened yesterday, he's certainly happy that we're running at midday on a Monday. He's running just inside, or just outside of the top 10 as Davis is back inside of Atwell.
It's for position number 5. Davis at the line has it. Atwell caught in the outside groove and he could lose a few spots if he can't get down. He has the opportunity. Hansen didn't have a good exit of turn 2, but rallies down in turn 3. More contact. Hansen moving the 3 up the banking and Atwell back on the outside lane.
We are only 5 laps into this race and we have seen just how physical it may have to be today for these drivers to make some moves and work their way up through the pack. Left side of your picture, the gap between first and second. Peltier and Majeski. Right side, you've got Gilliland leaving a bit of a donut on the left side door of Atwell, who almost caught the wall off the corner.
Boy, Gilliland saw the slight opening and he went for it. Made the opening a little bit bigger, went down to the flat of the racetrack and picked up the position, did Gilliland. Can give him the 8th position last time at the line. Fetcho, the 3-time Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway Pro Late Model champion, trying to make a move on Atwell.
Just behind Dylan Fetcho in that 26 car. That was the fastest car in the lone practice session held here on Friday. Dawson Sutton, Winchester 400 winner, trying to shut the door on Cole Butcher, the ASA Stars national champion on the season, as the top 2 drivers, if you were to handicap the field coming into this race in Super Late Model Racing, are door-to-door for a spot just outside the top 10.
Yeah, no doubt 2 of the favorites right there on the right side of the screen. Left side of the screen, the lead battle might be heating up a little bit. Ty Majeski, 2-time winner of the race, all over the rear bumper of pole sitter Preston Peltier.
Majeski trying to add his name to what is a very small list of drivers who have not only won more than 1 Snowball Derby, but more than 2. There's a bunch of drivers. We'll go through the stats a little bit later on, but he is looking for that 3rd Tom Dawson Trophy, and he is hounding the back bumper of Preston Peltier, who only ran one qualifying mock run on the practice session, got the pole in qualifying. This is the longest run that car and driver has had on the weekend.
Both of those cars very well handling race cars. Preston Peltier and Ty Majeski. Majeski's might be just a little bit better, however, as he's looking to make a move. Watch him. His entry is better. Peltier stays a little bit higher. Majeski goes down on the flat right against the wall in 4.
While we watch this battle for the lead, we're hearing via some of the radio chatter that some drivers are reporting there might be some fluid on the racetrack coming from another car. Officials are trying to keep their eyes out to see if they notice anything abnormal as Majeski looks for the lead in 3.
To the bottom of turn 4, his car rotating on the inside lane so well, was all over the 48 of Peltier, and a new leader in turn number 1. It's the Menards iRacing 91 of Ty Majeski.
Majeski goes to the point. Now he's going to try to set sail. And for some of the drivers who did not have that strong of a qualifying effort, one of the biggest concerns for all competitors is falling off the lead lap. And here is one of the cars that we believe may be causing some concern for the competition. That's Tristan McKee in the Ritchie Waters number 5, running right in front of Bubba Pollard. Pollard has got to be noticing perhaps what is going on with that 5 car. And if it's dropping some fluid, that cannot be a good case for the rest of the field, especially Pollard, who's in the tire tracks of McKee.
Yeah, McKee's car looks to be running okay, except the smoke is coming out of it, perhaps some liquid. It's quite a bit of smoke coming off the front of the race car. He looks to the bottom side of Casey Roderick. McKee currently running in the 20th position. Pollard 1 spot outside of the top 20. But McKee a little bit faster than the 2 in front of him. Oh, big battle in our top 5. Davis has a fast race car to the inside of Jake Finch for position 3.
And Finch will concede the position as they approach the entrance of turn number 3, as Davis is starting to turn up the wick with a big slide off of turn 4 there, cementing himself in 3rd position with Finch back to 4th. Hudson Bolger rounding out your top 5 with Jace Hansen knocking on the back door for that spot. And the black flag has come out for Tristan McKee for that smoke as the team starts to prepare for that 5 car to come in. What a save by Bolger. He got tagged by Hansen and he caught the car off 4.
Another look to the inside. Here comes Gilliland to the bottom. Bolger allows the inside lane to be open as the 55 of Plybon looks for the opening. David Gilliland has been pretty aggressive here early on, and the driver that is on the move is Dawsonville, Georgia's Spencer Davis. What a race car and what a run he has 20 laps into this event.
Davis coming off of what was a runner-up finish at the Florida Governor's Cup at New Smyrna Speedway just about 3 weeks ago. Now looking for the opportunity to get himself up towards the front. He gets a good run off turn 4, and it's inside of Peltier for 2nd as they almost brush in turn 1.
Peltier gave him a little extra room, and that was a good move for Peltier because Davis was sending it off into turn 1, hauling the mail and making the move for the 2nd spot. Spencer Davis continues his trek forward. The driver from Georgia started 5th, is up to 2nd.
Contrary to what we saw in 2024, this first 20-lap run has gone clean and green as the Ritchie Waters team starts to diagnose what the issue may be on the 5 of Tristan McKee as he's down to the attention of his crew, falling multiple laps down. Let's go to our Joe's Racing Products pit reporter. Here's Bob.
Ritchie Waters and his team checking out this car. They're going to go underneath the hood. I asked them what was it. They're not sure just yet. So Ritchie looking at the right side of the engine compartment to see where that fluid is coming from. Touching the valve covers and looking in that area right now, but the definite fluid, you heard a lot of people like Bubba Pollard talking about the fluid that was being laid down on the racetrack, apparently coming from Tristan McKee's number 5 here today, but they are still searching. They can't find it, guys.
And they continue to fall multiple laps down in that 5 car as we check in on a battle happening for 5th place. Bolger after the save now trying to hold on to that top 5 spot. Hayden Plybon down to the inside. All the while the race leader has caught the tail end of the pack. Brandon Lopez, Trayton Lapsevich and company in danger of going a lap down. In fact, Lopez already a lap off the leader. Lapsevich, who is missing some of his college exams to be here in this race, now also falling 1 lap off the leaders.
And the battle heats up a little bit more for 5th. Up into the 5th spot, Washington driver Hayden Plybon makes the move. Here comes the 08 of Chase Hansen, able to get by as well. Bolger's had a nice run here early on, but right now he's going to drop potentially outside of not just the top 5, but the top 10 as well as they continue to line up. Atwell, Cole Butcher continues his trek forward, and so does Dawson Sutton in the 26.
Word from the pit lane is they've given up the ghost on the Richie Waters number 5. McKee is going behind the wall. His first Snowball Derby is going to end very early as Bulger continues to lose spots here. Now here comes Dawson Sutton in the 26 up to the inside, and Carson Brown in the Anthony Campy Racing number 81 trying to keep Bulger pinned to the top side to continue his charge up towards the front. This will put Brown into the top 10 for the first time today as he makes the pass.
Yeah, 7 spots to the good for Carson Brown in the Anthony Campy Racing number 81. He's on the move toward the front. Stephen Nasse started toward the back of the field. He's up to 22nd, the teammate to Carson Brown in the 81. Both of those cars look to be pretty strong here early, and they need to be if you started deeper in the field, because the leader, Ty Majeski, is setting a torrid pace, starting to lap the back part of the field. This battle is going to heat up soon because the 3 right now, Atwell was really loose over in turn 2, and Butcher's ready to pounce.
Atwell, you can see that left front tire having to fight the handle of that car as Butcher gave him a warning shot there coming off the corner. Butcher will duck inside to kick Atwell back as he tries to slice himself back in the racing groove.
He does, but for how long? He's got his hands full right now. This Michael Atwell. We're just 31 laps in the race, so the true handle of these cars now will start to show. Carson Brown picks up a spot from Dawson Sutton. So the 81, one of the strongest cars in the field right now, making his debut at the Snowball Derby.
All the while, race leader Ty Majeski is in some heavy traffic, and just up the road from him, 2-time Snowball Derby champion Kyle Busch, who had to race his way into the last chance race. He said that his lone concern to start this race that far back is he did not want to go a lap down early. There's Kyle in the Flow Racing number 51 with a bit of a bobble up off turn 4. Majeski looks low. This could put Busch a lap down early here with less than 35 laps complete, and Majeski gets by.
The most laps that we'll see in a row consecutively today is 100. After 100 green flag laps, they will have a mandatory caution. If in fact we get a yellow before that, then that 100 lap number will reset. And right now, Majeski going through the field, putting drivers' laps down. There's a battle between Bubba Pollard and Stephen Nasse. Pollard currently running 20th. Stephen Nasse's picked up several spots up into the 21st position. He started back in 31st, so 10 to the good for last year's Derby runner-up.
And look at the hands on Nasse's cars. He is hustling that machine, trying to get to the inside of Pollard. Nasse is on a similar trajectory as he was a year ago. He started 30th last year, 32nd today, trying to crack that top 20 if he can get this spot away from Pollard. He was 1 spot shy of that first Snowball Derby win a year ago, and he's starting to float his way up towards the front of the field.
It is go time for these drivers. Again, if we stay green, Majeski's going to put a lot of competitors a lap down. You see Spencer Davis working through cars that have already gone a lap down. The 16 of Jacob Gomes, 12 of Derek Griffith, the 14 of Chase Pensano. All of those drivers have gone down a lap to the race leader, Ty Majeski. Second place, Spencer Davis continues to work through them as well.
And we are about to enter some uncharted territory as far as these cars, this tire, and this race weekend. Even though there was a prelude practice event here at the track held about a week ago, and also a test day on Monday, across the practice session we had, nobody ran more than 40 laps on this F45 Star Hoosier tire on this racetrack. Everyone is going to have to learn on the fly, and we're starting to see some very ill-handling cars. We got trouble turn 1, got a car around in the first corner, and that is going to draw the first caution of the race.
Honeycutt, the 21, has some issues. We're on board Caden Honeycutt, last year's winner of the Snowball Derby, trying to get back up through.
Honeycutt was running in close proximity to where that incident took place, which happened in front of the leader. As Honeycutt comes by us, our defending Derby champion, no obvious damage to the right side of that race car. And the spin involved Hudson Bulger, who was started up in the top 3 of this race, and he started to fade back and went around in the first and second corner.
Yeah, and he was running strong over the first 15 to 20 laps. The car started to fade a bit, and it's in one of those protect modes, trying to defend your position and try to keep it on the bottom, but drivers are anxious. They're ready to go. Could there have been some contact that sent the 17 of Bulger around?
See Bolger trying to assure his place potentially in front of Ty Majeski to see if he can get it back on the lead lap. Little bit of damage to the nose of that race car after Hudson Bolger draws caution number 1. Here's a look down into turn 1. Honeycutt to the inside. There's the contact. Honeycutt with a semi-spin himself with that broadside slide.
Yeah, he peeked to the inside. That's a case where Bolger's trying to protect the bottom. Driver looks to the inside. Another look at it here. Bolger comes down. The two make contact. Bolger thinking maybe he was going to be able to stay ahead of the 21, keep him at bay. And for Honeycutt, he sees the opening, says it's time to go. Kind of a racing deal, but the contact was made and Bolger went around.
So early misfortune, but the driver trying to go back-to-back in terms of Snowball Derby wins, as well as the Georgia native Hudson Bolger, who was the highest qualifying Snowball Derby rookie. After he ran the Snowflake the last 2 seasons, Bolger's going to drop to the rear of the field as his team starts to dissect what the plan is going to be, with Bolger now coming down the pit lane with several other cars under this first caution of the race.
Crew chief for Hudson Bolger, Brett Reagan. Hunter Robbins also in the pit for Hudson Bolger as he makes his way to pit road. See what they need to do. Minor damage, it looks like, to the 17.
Let's get a Joe's Racing Products pit update from Jim Trado.
In the pit area towards turn 4, a lot of cars have come in, including the NASCAR 2-time champion Kyle Busch has brought his 4 Racing Chevrolet to the attention of pit road. Crew chief is Travis Braden, the 2019 champ. He works for Hendrick full time. He was called in to be the crew chief on this team. They called the pit road. They're looking at put tires on already, and they're also making some big left front shock adjustments. Bob?
Down here in Hudson Bolger's pit, and there is some damage to the nose piece. The hood is kind of buckled up a little bit, a crack on the left front fender. Hunter Robbins calling the shots on this team. Hunter Robbins has won super late model and also pro late model races at this racetrack, but they're analyzing the damage right now, seeing what they might need to do to this race car. They're going to take out some duct tape and put it on that hood area to make sure they can get that secure, but they're looking at the nose here, and they do have some damage. It's kind of pushed down a little bit further than it should be, and that might result in some clearance issues as they go into the corner. So the analysis going on down here right now, but not a ton of work just yet in regards to repairing in the 17, which was really loose prior to that happening.
Thanks, Bob. The work continues for many of these teams. You see Bubba Pollard also taking advantage of this early caution to come down the pit lane. About 23 cars were on the lead lap at the time that yellow flag fell after the first 39 laps of this race ran clean and green. Preston Peltier led the opening stanza. Ty Majeski has taken the lead and held on to it. And this will be the first yellow of this race as Pollard's team is getting set to try to roll him back out. And the word that we're getting is that a penalty may be getting levied to Bubba Pollard for too many crew members working on that car. So Pollard, who was running up towards the top 20, in fact in the top 20 at the time of this yellow, now potentially being assessed a penalty to drop to the rear on this ensuing restart.
Pollard and his team, knowing they needed to come to the pits, make some adjustments.
Here's a look at what happened to draw the first caution. On board with defending Derby champion Caden Honeycutt inside of Bolger. There's the contact.
That's a late entry into turn 1. It's tough to make that decision. He saw it. He had a run on the 17, did Honeycutt. For Bolger, just maybe didn't know he was going to dive in like that. Tough deal.
You heard the anguish of those Hoosier F45 stars as they slid for a good bit down to the entrance of turn number 1, putting that team a bit behind the 8 ball in terms of their strategy.
So yellow laps do count. Yellow flag laps do count, but you can come to the pits and make adjustments and not have to worry about going down laps under yellow when you do come to the pits. Cleaning up some of the fuel that was coming out of the car on the refill. Too early to take tires yet. We're just 41 laps in the race. We do have 3 new sets of tires to take at some point during the race in the pits. Back down to Bob.
Well, Bubba Pollard and that 26 car not liking each other right now. I asked the team, what's it doing? He said, honestly, it's going back and forth from being tight to being really loose, and it depends on what other cars he's running with at the time. So they figured you might as well take the opportunity, come down pit road, make some adjustments. He also had a lot of fluid on the windshield, and they wanted to wipe that clean for Bubba Pollard. So that's the situation. They don't seem too concerned about the possible penalty for him because he said, listen, we pitted, we're going to go to the back of the field anyway. It's A-okay to Jim Trado.
And Bob, when it comes to making pit stops and adjustments, Kyle Busch did take on 4 Hoosier tires. However, several of the other teams came in for big swings and adjustments. Jake Garcia ran through the last chance race just to get in the show. They pitted on the opening laps to get the grill clean, but more importantly, he was chasing hard to stay ahead of Majeski in his pace, to the point where he said, as soon as the caution came out, guys, I'm loose, I'm loose, I'm loose. Everybody around me is loose. They're all fighting to stay on that lead lap status. They burned their stuff up, but they made an adjustment. No tire change for Garcia or several cars down here on pit road trying to get a handle on this racetrack with the new F45 Stars.
Thanks, gentlemen. And Adam, that was a big turning point at a situation like this, an early caution where some teams could get off strategy. That was one of the reasons that Jace Hansen was able to drive his way up through the field, was able to get a long enough run that when the next caution came out, put him on a level playing field with the competition, stayed in the top 5 the rest of the race. This could be a big dynamic and shift here in terms of running order if we get another long run from this point forward for some of the drivers that elected to put tires on this early yellow.
It saved a lot of drivers right now from being a lap down. That's exactly what that caution flag did.
Let's go back down to Joe's Racing Products pit reporter, Bob.
Obviously, a lot of logistics for these teams when they run on Monday. Preston Peltier running in the 4th spot right now. He actually lost about 4 crew members coming into this Monday. Well, he adopted one. Gabe Brown, who was in contention in the Snowflake 125 on Saturday night. He is here to help out the team. Now he's sitting down because there's no action going on right now, but he will help with the fueling process and whatever else this team needs. They actually got him and a couple of other people to help out here today after losing those 4 crew members.
Thanks, Bob. A lot of teams heavily taxed with this day being pushed to Monday in terms of helping hands. A lot of them trying to seek assistance from anybody possible to see if it could help parlay their efforts to win the Snowball Derby. Ty Majeski, Spencer Davis getting set to wrap up the first caution of the race as we get set to get back underway from Pensacola. 255 laps to go next time by, this time by.
Majeski, a great restart. Spencer Davis looked like he was going to come under attack from Jake Finch. He passed Finch for the 2nd spot a while ago, but Davis cleanly able to pull away from the 3rd place car. One of the drivers on the move just out of our picture there, Cole Raz, 1 spot out of the top 10. He's picked up 18 spots in this race. I think we're going to see him quite a bit this afternoon in that 76.
So Majeski cleared to the lead ahead of Davis, who slots in the 2nd spot. Then Jake Finch leading a bit of a Congo line. But ahead of pole sitter Preston Peltier, Jace Hansen, your top 5. And Cole Butcher, after starting outside of the top 10, up to 6th. As we check in on some of the battles in the midfield, Derek Thorne working his way up through the pack in that 96 car, inside of Michael Atwell, who gets loose off of turn 4, with the aforementioned Cole Raz peeking to the inside.
Yeah, Derek Thorne having a nice run early on to the Appalachian Sucker Punch 96. Raz picks up yet another position. Cole Raz into the top 10 for the first time today. Give him 18 spots to the good now for the 76 car.
Word from that camp is that Cole was very, very happy with his race car and eager to go. I think we could all see why, as Peltier tries to launch off turn 2 to see if he can get back to 3rd. He's to the inside of Finch, caught the apron on the entrance to turn 3 there. Finch is going to give him just enough room to try to keep inside.
Yeah, he didn't give him much room over in turn 3, and it kind of adjusted the lane that Peltier was trying to run. He eventually is able to get him a half a lap later, but it was a close call down in turn 3. If he'd have pushed the issue, we would have probably had our 2nd caution.
And the team car to that number 48, who's just gotten up to 3rd, now already to the back bumper of the 51 of Finch, Jace Hansen, looking to better the 4th place effort from 2024. If he can make this pass, he will get up to P4 for now, with Finch trying to hang on.
Ty Majeski under that last caution flag went over 600 laps led in a Snowball Derby competition. He is a machine when it comes to these big races in super late model action. Of course, coming off of a Truck Series championship a year ago, and the field is slowed for a problem on the front stretch just off of turn 4. Bulger involved again. Damage to the front end of his car. Pulling away is Casey Roderick as well. Yellow for the 2nd time at lap 52. And it's 2 of the Rhett Jones Racing cars. This one pulling away as well, Lapsevich. So a rough mishap for the 30 cars.
So both of the Red Jones Racing cars that made the race involved in this crash. Noah Gregson was in a third car prepared by this team. Unfortunately, they battled motor problems with all the limited track time. Just did not have enough opportunity to diagnose and repair the issue before qualifying in the last chance race. And the car with the most damage, unfortunately now 2 for 2 in terms of involvement of our yellow flags up to this point. Georgia driver Hudson Bolger, who started up in third spot, and his inaugural Snowball Derby has unraveled quickly. Bob is down there in the pit lane for the 17.
The day goes from bad to worse for Hudson Bolger right now. The team trying to get that hood off the nose piece and assess the damage. You can see the team looking and they're shaking their heads. No, it doesn't look good for Hudson Bolger, but it looks like the front shroud, that nose piece, and maybe even a little bit of the suspension are awry on this number 17 car. So much effort went into this program here. They qualified really well, but it looks like it might be an early day for Hudson Bolger. Jim Credo.
It's a quickie caution, guys, so Trayton Lepsovich involved in that spin had come down under the first caution to make an adjustment, but continues to say the car is loose. So they made an adjustment on that car. No tire change or air pressure adjustment, just a handling change for the young Canadian who signed on with this team to race full-time next year in the APC United Late Model Series north of the border.
Pushing the 17 of Bolger back, not a good sign, as they're going to push him behind pit wall into the infield. Looks like the end of the day is close for Hudson Bolger.
So while Bolger's team pushes that car behind the wall, we're going to step aside. We'll come back. 55 laps in the books for the 58th annual Snowball Derby.
Hi, I'm JP Wibbs, and here at Buggy Works, we have the largest selection of new and used vehicles on the Gulf Coast. We also offer certified technician services and rentals. Come see our new location, Buggy Works, in the heart of Car City.
The fastest growing name in the motorsports industry is the Racers brand of safety gear and apparel. Winners wear K1.
Wrapping up caution number 2 of the 58th annual Snowball Derby here at Flags Speedway. The field is doubled up with a restart upcoming after a couple of cars came down for what was a quickie yellow here at Flags. And I'll tell you what, after all of the inclement weather that we had, I think all of our sleep schedules are probably off a little bit after the long night at the Flake. Some of the fans taking advantage of this yellow to catch up with some shed-eye. So Majeski, the leader, ahead of the number 96 of Spencer Davis. Kyle Busch did get the free pass on this most recent caution. Matt Craig was the beneficiary on the caution prior, as we get set to restart this race with 241 laps to go.
Majeski again strong on the restart. Spencer Davis stays with him this time, in fact peeking to the inside. Under the last couple of green flag runs, we've seen Majeski still much quicker than Davis and the rest of the field. We'll see if he's able to separate himself again, and the way that car exits turn 4 and already pulling away. Front stretch, Carson Brown goes around, collects Plybond in the 55. There was contact, and that's big damage to the 81, ripping the roof up. The back end smashed in, and Brown pulling away with heavy damage that's going to end his day early.
And the caution was out prior for an incident with one of the Rhett Jones cars in turn number 2. Casey Roderick had a problem. The caution lights were on and waving. You have to wonder if Carson lifted for the yellow in 6th spot, and the field behind him did not get the memo.
Look at how this body, it's a rare situation to see the body lifting off the roof like that as it was crushed from the back. And Carson Brown flies down pit road, a little out of control.
Carson, who started this race in 17th spot, worked his way diligently and methodically up into the top 10, was running just outside the top 5 at the time of this yellow and crash, and the back end of that race car is absolutely demolished.
And Brown frustrated as he pulls into his pit stall. Comes to a stop. One of the fastest cars in the field today, Bob.
And Anthony Campany, the team owner for the 81 of Carson Brown, just kind of throwing his hands up in the air. This is some big time damage on that car, and there were some reports of fluid. Saw a car slow down, smoking just about a half a lap prior. So that could be the culprit of why Carson Brown went around, but Carson Brown is done for the day. Jim?
Casey Roderick's day has come to an end after an exciting run. He got really mixed up. He got spun around here in the front stretch. The team came down not once but twice to look at the right front. Crew Chief Gary Crooks was more worried about the bodywork, but this time it's terminal. There's oil coming up underneath the car, so the suspect fluid on the racetrack certainly could have come from the number 30 Ford for Casey Roderick in his 10th Derby. Just his 2nd super late start this year with his team. High hopes for the future, but more importantly, he has yet to win this race. He's won just about everything else here at his super late at 5 Flags Speedway. His day is done.
And the same trend will be said for Carson Brown, whose inaugural Snowball Derby run is going to come to a close as he climbs out of the car. The good news is he is okay after the rear clip on that car is destroyed in a bizarre crash, taking out Brown after the caution flag had waved for the issues for Roderick in turn number 2. And you see Ty Majeski, the race leader, is going to elect to come down to the pit lane under this caution flag.
62 laps in, pretty early for a pit stop. His car has been outstanding. He had the lead in each restart. He would pull away from whoever was behind him. That time it was Davis again.
Carson Brown out of the car and okay. He's standing by with Bob.
Carson Brown fluid on the racetrack, but I understand there was some big time contact as well. What happened?
Honestly, I'm not quite sure. The caution came out, honestly, 3 and 4, and then I got all the way to the flag stand, and I was completely getting picked up and crossed over, and then I got sent into 1 under caution, and then just backed it straight into the fence really hard, and kind of just put my head back and hoped that I didn't hit driver's side, you know. It just sucks. I felt like we had a really good car there. We started 17th and made it all the way up to, I think, 6th or 7th whenever the caution came out. So really proud of this ACR crew, Chevy, RCR, just everybody that makes this happen, you know. It just sucks to get wrecked under caution like that with a really good car, and yeah, hopefully we'll get it fixed back up.
Glad you're okay.
Tough ending for the newly signed RCR driver development driver and Carson Brown, as the Anthony Campy Racing team is going to start to assess the damage, see what it will take to get that car back in the hauler with their race now officially over.
It's a beautiful race car, a good cause there.
Jake Finch, who's running in the top 5 on the pit lane. Let's go to Jim.
Yeah, his best start in his last 5 races was here today and was running top 5. They elected to come to pit road. They have 4 fresh Hoosier tires. A lot of attention paid to the rear. They took 1 left rear spacer and added it to the left rear. Took 1 of the 2 spacers on the hub off the right rear to get that car a different handling feel for the Floridian. Racing in the HendrickCars.com number 51. His help today on top of the spotter stand, Kyle Larson, the spotter, Tyler Munn.
And with Majeski and Finch electing to pit, that is going to jumble up the running order just a little bit, as Majeski's about to be released out to the rest of the field. For an update on the driver who's led the most laps up to this point, back to Bob.
Yeah, Ty Majeski and his crew chief Toby Noodleman, they decided to come down, take the forward tires, really not make much of an adjustment on this car because it's really good. Ty's just talking about having to navigate traffic and figure out his way around this racetrack, but they think they have a really good race car here today, and it's evident by his performance in the first part of this race.
Thanks, Bob. So with Majeski and Finch elected to come down, Spencer Davis is going to take over the lead. Preston Peltier, the pole sitter, will go up to second. Jace Hansen currently running in third. Then Cole Butcher and Dawson Sutton, your top 5 as things run under this caution flag, with 62 laps of 300 currently in the books. After a unique incident took place with Casey Roderick having problems in turn 2. This is down the front stretch, and it was Butcher who got into the 81 car. What a job by Hayden Plybon. That was close.
You know, Butcher was peeking to the inside of the 81, and I know the yellow was coming out. He got to the inside, and it was like right there, but everybody's still at speed is what is crazy. You know, Carson Brown mentioned that we were under yellow coming out of like 4, but everybody was still at speed, and they had just started to maybe get the word that the yellow was out, and he kind of slowed down, and he got the word obviously from his spotter. When he slowed down and kind of went down, like Butcher was right there. Terrible break for Carson Brown, who was definitely a threat to win today.
Did notice at that time that the flagmen had not yet been able to wave the yellow silk once Brown got to the start-finish line, even though the lights may have been tripped and the caution call may have been received to some of the spotters wearing those radios. But nevertheless, a bizarre incident taking Brown out of a top 10 spot and out of his first Snowball Derby. As you can see, the fluid still being cleaned up on the pit lane after Casey Roderick had a mechanical problem, putting him out of the Snowball Derby in 2025. Spencer Davis is the leader. The restart is coming up on the other side of this break.
For more than 35 years, Flying A Motorsports has been the trusted name in race trailers, motor coaches, and toter home. As the world's #1 Intech trailer dealer, Flying A leads the way in custom-designed race trailers and car haulers built to fit your vision. With a massive lineup of in-stock inventory and fully built custom builds from top brands like Intech, Renegade, Showhauler, T&E, Bravo, and C-Tech, we're ready to equip racers at every level. Whether you're a dirt racer, drag racer, or hot rodder alike, we have something for you.
The fastest growing name in the motorsports industry is the Racers brand of safety gear and apparel. Winners wear K1.
This isn't just a shop. It's where racers build products for racers with blood, sweat, and gears. At Buzzy Racing, we know what's at stake because we race too. From rear-end rebuilds and tube straightening to dyno-tested steering boxes and transmission overhauls, we don't just fix it, we build it like it's our own. Family-owned, track-proven, built with purpose, built to win.
For over 2 decades, Fastlane Racing Apparel has been the official merchandise partner of Flags Speedway and the Snowball Derby. Visit shopsnowballderby.com for the official event merchandise of the 57th Snowball Derby, or find us at our 3-track locations.
From the track to the trail, from your everyday cars and trucks to championship-winning vehicles, Eibach has you covered. Race, lift, lower, high-performance suspension for all. Eibach, the #1 choice of champions. Proudly made in the USA. Engineered to win.
Tickets for the 2026 season of Speed at Worldwide Technology Raceway are on sale now. The Bommarito Automotive Group 500, June 6th and 7th. The NASCAR Cup Series Enjoy Illinois 300, O'Reilly Auto Parts Series, and Confluence Music Festival, September 11th through 13th, and the NHRA Napa Auto Parts Midwest Nationals, October 2nd through 4th. Save big by going to WWTRaceway.com.
Women owned and manufactured in South Carolina, PFC Brakes is the #1 choice for motorsports, fleets, auto manufacturers, and first responders. PFC delivers the best brakes on the market, guaranteed to outlast and outperform the competition. If you're looking to win at the track or reduce downtime for your fleet, or just need more stopping power when towing your boat or trailer, look no further than PFC Brakes. Visit us at pfcbrakes.com to find your local.
Back underway, Spencer Davis leads us to the restart with Preston Peltier to the outside. Jace Hansen with a bit of a bobble through the speedy dry. Look at Peltier charge up the outside to try to get back to the lead.
Pole sitter Preston Peltier out front after fading back in deeper into the top 5 a little earlier in this race. May have been saving a little bit early for the longer runs. Cole Butcher's up to 3rd. Davis running 2nd, and Jace Hansen running where he finished a year ago. 4th spot right now for the 08.
And Hayden Plybon, who almost saw his race come to a dramatic end after Carson Brown spun right across the nose in the 55, trying to get past Dawson Sutton, who's in the 26 on the bottom with the hard charger so far. Cole Raz riding right behind Dawson Sutton's car off 2.
Cole Raz started this race in 29. He's up into the top 10 and continues to move forward as that sharp 76 running strong as well in the inside lane.
Dylan Fetcho may try to walk through the door that was left open by Raz as Plybon has been trapped up to the top side of the racetrack. Can he get back down by the time they get to 3? Fetcho sends the car to the inside as this battle continues.
Dylan Fetcho making his 2nd Snowball Derby start, and he has a good run here in the early stages. Move Dylan Fetcho, the Lebanon, Tennessee driver, up to 7th position.
And Stephen Nassie from 32nd on the grid from the last chance race into the show. Now past Plybon, now up to 8th for the 2024 runner-up. And here is how he's getting the job done in 1.
Yeah, we go on board on the right side of your screen with Stephen Nassie. Doesn't qualify well, but man, he races well, especially here at Five Flags Speedway, where he finished 2nd and came so close to challenging on the last lap of the Derby last year with Caden Honeycutt picking up the win. This year, Nassie and the team, his team, donating an engine for at least the weekend to Caden Honeycutt, who he finished 2nd to last year when they had motor problems.
And last lap around, Stephen Nassie ran his fastest lap of the race. As we check in on the fight just behind him, Derek Kraus getting by Plybon, who brushed the fence a little bit off the corner. Dustin Smith also charging his way up through the pack. And look at the far right side of your picture. Kyle Busch with a tap to the back of Derek Thorne. Since getting back on the lead lap, Busch has been ripping his way up through the field.
Kyle Busch up inside the top 15, going right now for 12th position. Former winner Kyle Busch on the move in the Flow Racing 51.
Finch, who just came off the pit lane, working his way up through the pack as well. One driver not having as much success at this juncture of the run. Ty Majeski, the early leader of this race since he pitted as well. Mired back in 18, taking his time to try to get up through the pack as Busch looks low to the inside.
You know, drivers that came to the pits like Ty Majeski, like Kyle Busch, they've taken on fresh tires early. That has put them on a different cycle than some of those that have stayed out. And fresh tires here at Five Flags Speedway, even if you only have 50 laps on your tires, makes a big difference.
And for some of the cars that did elect to stay out, like a Hayden Plybon, who's losing some spots here, about to lose another spot to Bubba Pollard, the risk you take in being off strategy of this nature and not maintaining your track position, Plybon can very quickly fall a lap off the leaders as he loses a spot to Majeski down the home stretch.
We're hearing from some folks in the pits that Bubba Pollard was having some radio issues from his spotter, a lot of static. But they said everyone else could hear the spotter fine, so it could be an issue with Bubba Pollard's communication from inside the race car. But right now he's on his way forward. They've made some adjustments, probably fresh rubber as well, the way that 26 car is running now.
See the pair of 51s, Kyle Busch, the Flow Race number 51, the Hendrick cars number 51, Jake Finch, David Gilliland, as we're running top 15 for most of this race. Busch now trying to get to the bottom of Dustin Smith to crack the top 10 for the first time in this race. He's got the fender to the inside.
Busch makes the run, car extremely fast right now, and takes the spot from Dustin Smith. Dustin Smith was inside the top 10, just falls to 11th, and now they're lining up to the inside. Finch to the bottom. Gilliland there. Pollard right behind him. Garcia and Majeski coming back through the field.
And problems in turn number 4. We got a car off the pace and rolling up towards the wall, and that will draw the caution. And the bad race gets worse for Trayton Lapsevich, 4th yellow of the race. And the nightmare weekend for the Rhett Jones Racing team, who brought 3 cars to do battle this weekend. And depending on what the issue may be for Lapsevich, this could be the end of the Derby for the organization after Roderick fell by the wayside with mechanical problems. And as we mentioned, Noah Gregson in the 3rd car for this team with motor issues, unable to race his way into the big show. Lapsevich has made his way to the pit lane.
Looking under the front of the car, debris on the back straightaway as well.
Remember, Lapcevich was involved in the lap 53 caution that took out Hudson Bolger. So perhaps this issue, along with what happened to teammate Roderick, maybe some of the residual effects from that misfortune that happened, about 30 laps ago.
Webster Minnesota driver Ty Fredrickson running over that debris and dragging it with him going into turn 3. We'll see if that pops back out or he still has it with his race car. Left side going up on the Lapcevich number 30. It's been a tough day, as you mentioned, for the Rhett Jones Racing team over the first 84 laps.
Well, they continue to assess and dissect the issue there. We'll go down to Joe's Racing Products pit reporter Jim Trado.
Yeah, popping on my racing electronic scanner, Stephen Nassy with his charge forward. It's coming to Price. He said the car is laying down and popping like the ignition or fuel pickup is an issue on the straightaways for the driver who's coming here looking for his first Derby. He's got a good run going, but he said something's wrong, guys, and under this quickie caution, they decided to keep him on the racetrack right now. Bob?
Preston Peltier having himself a good day so far at the Snowball Derby. I just spoke to his team, and they said they're staying out. They have a long way to go until they need to come in. That car is very good right now. And guys, remember last year, Preston Peltier was helping out Jace Hansen. He had some unique strategy in that race. It certainly paid off for Jace Hansen. Keep an eye on the 48. Jim Trado.
Matt Craig has come to pit road to the attention of crew chief Cody Glick and the number 44 Bob Lyons car. They made an adjustment. Cody actually added about a 6-inch strip of tape below the opening, below the tape on the grill opening. So these cooler temperatures, it seems like it's dropped about 10 degrees, guys, in the last 15 minutes. When the engine runs cooler, you can put more tape on that grill. They decided to put about 6 inches of tape on the far left side of that grill opening with other adjustments for Matt Craig, who's now back on the racetrack. Bob?
Heard the booth talk about Bubba Pollard and possible radio issues for the 26 team. It was with the spotter in the brand new spotter stand, by the way, here on the front stretch at Five Flags Speedway. His spotter has changed the radio. All is good in the world of Bubba Pollard. They did have some damage on the front end of that car in the most recent pit cycle. They actually came down, put some tape on that hood to make sure that it didn't fly up. They also have a hole in the nose piece that they'll keep an eye on as well.
Interesting dynamics for many of the drivers in the field, including 2 of which who have been chasing this race for more than 15 attempts. Stephen Nassy and Bubba Pollard hoping that they could sort things out and continue to work their way forward as the last couple of cars start to exit the pit lane under caution number 4.
Call me crazy, but if we go green here and we get on a long green flag run, we could go to close to lap 200. We're at 87 right now. If we get a long green flag run, there are several drivers that haven't come to the pits yet. Can they go almost 200 laps on fuel?
Yeah, and that's also considering the fact, as we touched on at the beginning
tires
of this
too.
race. Yeah, with a tire compound that is different for this race. Prior iterations for the Derby have been run on Hoosier's ST line of tires. This year, following a test that was done a handful of months ago, the decision was made to shift to the Hoosier F45 Star compound that is a bit different after going through some of the variations of options that were available. So for some of these teams, the notebook is not that big on what this tire is going to do on a long run, especially this weekend where they only got 1 hour practice, their shot at qualifying, and maybe, as Kyle Busch said following his win in the last chance race, the 25-lap test session they got from that LCQ and some of the data they were able to compile there, but not a lot to go off of as many of these teams are learning on the fly with this tire compound, racetrack, and race.
Interesting report from the Nassy crew there saying that he was reporting some issues with maybe some spinning and popping when it came to perhaps an electrical issue or an engine issue, but he's still running strong 7th position. Obviously, it isn't bad enough to affect it too badly, or he would have made a pit stop. So we'll watch how that transpires throughout the day. Looks like we are about 1 lap away from a restart. Back down to Bob.
Just want to give you a quick update on West Coast driver Jacob Gomes. He came down pit road here. You guys talked about that a little bit, but at the same time, he had some damage on that nose piece, and they wanted to make sure that they weren't collecting the rubber and really getting it to where the point that the car could overheat. So they made those adjustments. Jacob Gomes just happy to be here, the 3-time SRL champ.
Thanks, Bob. Perhaps to be a bit of a Cinderella story for Gomes with that team and that effort all the way from California as we get set to restart this race. And a familiar driver is sitting in P1. Our pole sitter, Preston Peltier, is getting the lead away from Spencer Davis on the bottom. Davis outside of the 96. A tightly compacted restart. Couple of cars making contact mid-pack as we're back underway. Everyone keeps it straight.
Yeah, they could have accordioned a little bit there. Peltier went with an extremely late and slow restart in the Cookout restart zone down in turn 4. It worked out for him as he rocketed away in the 4th corner. He and Davis out front. The battle is for 3rd. Hansen on the outside lane takes the 3rd spot.
Butcher still able to keep his car up to the rear quarter panel of Hansen off of turn 2, but Hansen makes that top side work. As you see some of the battles continuing throughout the top 10, it is going to be Peltier the leader, Davis to the bumper, Hansen 3rd, Butcher 4th, Dawson, Sutton looking to the bottom on the inside of that 28 of Butcher.
Sutton's yet to have gone to the pits, and right now the 26 is on the move on the inside lane, maybe saving a little bit early in this race to have a little left close to the 1/3 mark of the event. Stephen Nasse coming along to the bottom side as well. Cole Butcher maybe looking forward to some adjustments when he comes to the pits for the first time.
And despite the report from Nasse not seeing any visual evidence of the problems with that race car, maybe hoping that this could be the status quo for him for the remainder 200+ laps in this race, as he has driven his way from 32nd now into the top 5 with 206 laps still to go.
Yeah, that car is hooked up right on the bottom lane and starting to pull away as we go back on board the Anthony Campy Racing Oasis Cabaret number 51 of Stephen Nasse running the bottom line against the yellow line in front of him. It heats up again inside the top 5. Here's Sutton racing with Jace Hansen.
This onboard gives you an idea of how hard these drivers have to work, even just trying to navigate this half-mile oval by themselves, with Nasse really busy with his hands on the steering wheel, even with such a fast car. He's working hard in the cockpit of that race car and has caught this battle for 3rd.
Even when a car handles well around 5 Flags Speedway, you're working the wheel a lot. That's actually pretty calm, I think, what Stephen Nasse and his input to the steering wheel has right now. And he ran down Jace Hansen and Dawson Sutton, 3rd and 4th right in front of him.
Peltier is still the leader, with Davis keeping him honest. Now it's Hansen falling back into the clutches of Sutton, with Nasse getting a good drive off of turn number 2 and down the backstretch, peeking to the inside. Sutton drives it in deep to protect 4th spot for now.
3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th places closing again. Cole Butcher, after being passed by Sutton, as well as Nasse, is closing as Hansen may be holding up the 26 of Sutton just a little bit.
Dawson Sutton, who has been on a roll, recent winner of the All-American 400, wrapping up his first full-time NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series season with the Rackley War Racing team, looking to keep the momentum rolling not only into the Derby, but in preparation for 2026. And he is currently holding down that spot as here comes David Gilliland to the inside of Cole Butcher.
Bold move for Gilliland. We've seen he's had a fast race car, and David Gilliland up into the 6th position. We knew he was fast a year ago when he made his visit to the Snowball Derby. And how about Ty Majeski? Remember, he came to the pits, took on fresh tires pretty early in this race, and I think it was so he would be on a cycle in which he could get to the next yellow flag if we have a long green flag run. Worried maybe about fuel, perhaps tires. Is paying off nicely so far for Ty Majeski.
And Gilliland's not done. He's down to the inside of Nasse to pick up that spot. Really starting to see some of the differentiations from the cars that put tires on and those who have stayed out. Adam, that point you made, if this race stays green, this running order may get shuffled in a big way, because some of the cars that have newer rubber, they're ripping it.
They are ripping it right now. The fresher rubber obviously will start to level off a little bit with those that have the older rubber, but it's still going to be better throughout the run. And the 98 of Gilliland makes another move, and here comes Ty Majeski along with him. Fresh tires, so much better here at 5 Flags Speedway.
Gilliland now to the inside of Hansen to try to move up to 3rd, and Majeski's going to follow him through.
Quickly working their way into the top 5 and toward the front of the field. David Gilliland, former NASCAR Cup Series star, 3rd spot. Ty Majeski back to 4th after leading early in this race. Here comes Sutton. Nasse, look out. Here comes Jake Garcia as well to the bottom groove.
We've been talking about Nasse's charge up through the field. Garcia also on a differing strategy here. Started back in 34th as he had to come through the last chance race. In fact, he was the final car in this race. The other 2 behind him were given provisionals. So Garcia, as the driver who was the last one to make the race, now working his way up towards the top 5. He's 1 spot shy.
Jake Finch, the move. He was inside of our top 5 earlier, made a pit stop, and now Finch is rallying. He's up to the 8th position. Bubba Pollard, as high as he's been on the pylon today. Bubba Pollard inside the top 10, up to 9th.
So currently Gilliland ahead of Majeski here in this battle for third position. On the right side of your picture, Kyle Busch, who has rebounded well since getting the free pass. On the backside of Chase Hansen, with Hansen now fading to 10th place.
We're hearing lap 168, potentially the next yellow if we don't get a natural yellow before then, as that would be 100 laps. That said, I think we would have some drivers running out of fuel before then. That's a worry for some of these teams that have not made pit stops.
Yeah, the word that we're getting is that usually 150 to 170 is about the fuel run that you would imagine, at least with the control cautions in mind. We could see that yellow at lap 168. That is right on the edge of that fuel window. And again, that is something that these teams did not have a chance to work through and run through. It's one thing to run some of the simulations and parameters, is what you think you're going to be able to do. But to put it to the test with your power plant that you brought to do battle with at the Derby, no one was able to do that this weekend. If this race stays green, it could be close.
Remember, the most recent yellow we had was a controlled yellow. Was not a controlled yellow. Watching as Gilliland makes the pass of Davis.
Caution.
Field slowing for a caution. Derek Kraus has spun top of turn number 2.
Well, this will potentially erase some of the fuel concerns that existed for the drivers that have stayed out, like Peltier, like Davis, and several others, as Derek Kraus going around in turn number 2 is going to bring out the 5th caution of this race on lap 112.
That is a sigh of relief for some of these teams. I'm telling you, they had to be nervous about fuel and tires. What I was saying right before the spin, the last yellow that we did have was a quickie yellow because it fell within 25 laps of the previous yellow, so they couldn't come to the pits and take tires under that caution period. So that's why none of the drivers came in at that point.
So the spin by Kraus with no major damage to the number 9 in his 9th Snowball Derby start and 11 appearances at this race. His last time that he was able to compete in the event was in 2022. Kraus brings out the 5th yellow, and that will eliminate some of the concerns that the teams had potentially to make it to the very edge of that estimated 170 lap fuel window.
So it will be a controlled caution here, which means they can come to the pits. They get a few laps to make their adjustments, change the tires, fuel up the race car if they so choose to do so. Remember, Majeski and some others, they've been to the pits already, so I don't foresee them taking tires right here.
So Preston Peltier, the pole sitter and race leader, is going to bring the field down the pit lane here for the controlled effort. In fact, this is going to be for Peltier and company to take advantage of this caution flag. They are going to come down to pit. A couple of drivers who stopped already electing to stay out and benefit from their decision to kind of get off strategy from what the front runners have done so far.
Preston Peltier misses his pit stall. He backs up, and this team is very confident right now. It'll be 4 tires that is going to go on this race car, but honestly, nothing is wrong with it. He said he is completely comfortable. No chassis adjustments, no nothing for Preston Peltier. You can see he did get a nut driver that went into the cockpit of that race car. We'll find out exactly what that was for. But let's go to Jim Trado.
Chase Hansen had a strong run, his best qualifying effort. They're going to work on the left rear, getting some shocks changed there. This is an advantageous break for him. A lot of the guys that didn't pit yet, they were screaming, man, these cars got awfully loose. This is a great opportunity for Chase Hansen and others to come to pit road. Left front shock adjustment as well on Chase Hansen 08. This car was built by Peltier, so they know they've got speed in the car. They're trying to get back into contention. Bob.
Spencer Davis very happy with his race car right now. This 96 team is second. I spoke to Tony Uri Jr., who's calling the shots on this team. He says all they need to work on is a little drive up off the corner. So they'll make a tire pressure adjustment and a slight chassis adjustment on this 96 ride. But he is very pleased with that race car. Go to Jim.
Bob Hayden-Blyman was with a car that really was caught out and got gobbled up by the 4 or 5 cars that had fresh tires. This crew is disgusted as he was dropping back through the field. The opportunity for this young driver in the 55, the 22-year-old, they've got the left side tires already changed, adding fuel here, but taking their time with an interior adjustment now on the right rear shock. and the Panhard bar. And I'm telling you, these 4 fresh tires, it's a welcome change for Hayden Clymer and the 55 team. Bob?
Yeah, Cole Butcher very happy. He's coming down pit road. I spoke to his crew chief, Bon Suss, just a short time ago. Little damage on the front nose piece, but nothing much from that contact with Carson Brown. But at the same time, Cole Butcher struggling with drive up off the corner, and that's what they're going to adjust during this pit stop. Jim?
Derek Thorne and the Highlands Motorsports team spent the entire year racing the ASA Stars. He's, of course, looking for his second victory here in the Snowball Derby, but it's the first time he's had a Port City chassis at the Derby. It's always been Fury cars for the driver of the 96. They're rolling with 4 fresh tires. Josh Reeves, the crew chief, got that car a bit more to the liking of Derek Thorne under this caution. Again, a contender year upon year. And here comes Stephen Nassy down pit road as well. More to cover, Bob.
Dawson Sutton just went back out on the racetrack. 4 tires, obviously, for him as well. And Chad Kendrick, his crew chief, just told me that car is struggling because it was way too loose. They said the stagger on the set that came off the car, just way too much. So they knew that kind of going into this, and they shrunk up the stagger on this next set that just went on the car. He thinks Dawson Sutton is going to fly around this racetrack right now.
Thanks, gentlemen. We see Nassy about to lead the next wave of cars back to the racetrack after we work our 5th caution of this race, approaching the halfway point of the 58th annual Snowball Derby presented by Flow Sports. After the pit strategy and decision-making by these race teams continues to play a pivotal dynamic in how the running order is shaped, with Preston Peltier scored as the leader when the caution flag came out. He, along with Spencer Davis, elected to come down the pit lane for service. A handful of cars did in fact stay out, as the officials will now work to re-rack the field, taking into consideration some of the cars that have fallen a lap down, with Nassy assuming his proper position in the running order.
Yeah, I think some of the cars that stayed out were obviously the ones that took tires earlier in this race. Now they're going to be the ones, they look like heroes before that yellow flag. They could be zeros after this restart right here, because they are on older tires now instead of the newer tires on the racetrack. Jim?
ASA Midwest Tour star Ty Fredrickson came to pit road. His dad Dan, a 5-time racer here in the Derby, said we should put a left rear rubber out of the left rear to get that car exactly where we want it. It's been a little bit loose off. 4-tire change for the first timer, Ty Fredrickson, the 16-year-old out of Minnesota.
Fredrickson, the 2024 Kawicki Cup champion. Big day for that program tomorrow. They're going to announce the 2025 Kawicki Cup titleist. Fredrickson doing a good job carrying the banner for that initiative, making his, as Jim mentioned, Snowball Derby debut here. I was about to say this weekend, but this Monday.
I'm thinking we have 7 cars that did not come to the pits that time. Those are the ones that are going to be in some trouble, I have a feeling. They've turned just enough laps on their tires. Bob?
Down here, and Derek Kraus just brought out that caution. I apologize. I was looking at the tire at the same time. You can see where he came to a stop here. Some of the tire down to the cords. Not sure if that's exactly where he stopped or that was the problem that was on that tire. But they were saying they had a vibration and they had a problem going into the corner, and he brought that car to a stop. So problems for Derek Kraus in that 9 car. That was the reason for the caution, Jim.
Yeah, Cole Raz actually was 5th at the time we had the most recent caution on the restart. He dropped out to 16th because he had older tires. That team also made a plan. They changed the left front body brace on his number 76 Port City chassis under the caution. So that was going to help the driver. I saw the left front was kind of squatty. The body was kind of touching the left front tire a little bit. I'm going to check to see if there's any tire damage, but more importantly, Cole Raz under this caution got fresh tires and got that fresh left front body brace repaired on his machine.
Thanks, gentlemen. As we see, a couple of the cars that elected to stay out under this most recent caution, including race leader David Gilliland, ahead of Ty Majeski, who led many of the opening laps of the first run of this race. Jake Garcia from tail end of the field in 3rd. Jake Finch, who also stopped at one point already in this race, 4th. Bubba Pollard in 5th. Sounds like they may have been able to cure some of the radio problems, as reported by our team down trackside. And Kyle Busch rounding out your front 6. Buddy Shepard, who was a free pass recipient on the 3rd caution, up into the top 10. And then you get to the cars that stop. Preston Peltier 8th, Spencer Davis, Dawson Sutton your top 10.
Well, here we go. Top 7 drivers stayed out. They don't have the freshest rubber anymore like they did under the last green flag run. It's all the fresh tires from 8th on back. Restart, turn 4, back underway. Great restart outside lane for Ty Majeski, the early leader of this race. Contact between he and Gilliland in 1 and 2.
The two brushed together in Gilliland's only scheduled race of 2025. He is to the inside of the full-time NASCAR Truck Series driver Majeski, and he will protect the lead off of corner 4 to take sole possession of the top spot at the line.
I saw a little bit of smoke come off of one of those cars. I think it could have been the 91 of Majeski. Could there be a tire rub on one of those cars? As I saw him go through turn 3 last time, looked okay that time, and Majeski's ready to attack.
Majeski was able to get the fender down low, watching the left rear of Majeski's car, where there appears to be a little bit of a blemish in front of that tire. Gilliland too with a bit of a haze on the right side of his race car. Majeski to the point, trouble! Shepherd's around, and the front end of the car is destroyed.
Shepherd, who was the final driver to stay out, he was 7th in line whenever we restarted just a few laps ago, and his day is most likely going to come to an early end. Heavy damage to the front end, debris all over turn number 2.
Shepherd, who went around from that top 10 spot, struck by another car that went by. Unable to identify the car that ripped a lot of the bodywork off of Buddy Shepherd, who suffered a hard crash in snowflake qualifying. And because of the damage that was sustained by Shepherd, look at the radiator clearly ripped out of that car. Officials are going to have to potentially red flag this race because of the amount of fluid that has been left on the racetrack.
Most likely will stop the field here on the front stretch once they all get through the crash scene over in turn number 2. Shepherd, tough week, running in the Flake and the Derby here in 2025. But Shepherd back to his pit stall with heavy damage on the front end. Back to our Joe's Racing Product pit reporter, Bob Dillner.
Yeah, and they're already shaking their hands. We are done. This front end of this race car is mangled up. You can see the shroud, the radiator just hanging right there. A bunch of other components as well. But Buddy Shepherd has had a difficult weekend, and he talked several times to us about how he and his dad dreamed of competing in the Snowball Derby. They've been able to do that on a couple of different occasions, but that wrecked race car in the Pro Late Model, a wrecked car now here in the Snowball Derby, just tough luck for Buddy Shepherd out of the West Coast here this weekend.
Thanks, Bob. We understand that the car that Shepherd made contact with coming down the racetrack was former Snowball Derby champion Derek Thorne, but a tough ending for Buddy Shepherd, a Spears Cars Tour West Super Late Model winner at Colorado National this past July, making his 2nd consecutive Snowball Derby after a consistent run in 2024, finishing 22nd. He is not going to be able to better that effort here this weekend, as his race will come to a close before we get to the halfway point. But the good news is Buddy is in fact okay. Let's hear from Buddy Shepherd. He's with Bob.
Disappointing end of the day for Buddy Shepherd. Buddy, what happened up there in the corner?
I just got turned, plain and simple. We're on lap 120 and just got drove through. So Dwayne Sharp made a great pit call, getting us back on the lead lap there. We weren't really sure what we had because of all the rain delay and stuff, but that 33 car's got to be a pretty big idiot on lap 20 to do that. So these guys worked their tails off for something like that to happen. So we'll rebuild and get on the 2026, I guess, now.
Buddy Shepherd, the 2024 Spears Southwest Tour Series champion, seeing his 2nd attempt at a Tom Dawson Trophy come to an early end, dissecting the incident that took place, placing blame on the number 33 of Dustin Smith after what turned into a single-car spin, resulted into a multi-car accident. And that team will now shift their attention to how they're going to try to get that car loaded up. Let's go down to Joe's Racing Products pit report from Jim Trado.
An adventurous day so far for Jake Garcia. Literally started last after coming to pit road on our pace laps. His crew chief, Ricky Turner, won this race as a driver in 2001, said, those leaves on the grill, let's get that cleaned up before we go racing. And you guys have done a masterful job getting to the point. You changed tires about lap 65 or so, Ricky. What have you seen now, studying these tires on the wear on these Hoosiers, so now that you got 4 fresh and you're heading forward?
Yeah, well, we're just working on the balance a little bit. Car's pretty good. We didn't know. We didn't get a lot of practice this week, and so we threw some things at it. But right now the car's pretty good. We need to be a little better to be as good as the 91, but we're going to keep working on it, try to stay out of trouble, and give it our best shot.
So when you start that far back, I don't think Jake's ever started that far back. Well, how'd you calm him down early saying, I know we got a lot to cover here, but he really has responded. Not only the LCQ to get in, but this car seems to be going forward. You got more tires laying. Looking at the map here, ideally it's a 300-lap race. When do you want to throw the next set on?
Yeah, I'm not real sure, but yeah, Jake's a cool dude, so I wasn't worried about him. He took care of the car and doing a good job, so we'll see. It just depends on how the cautions fall and from here, but yeah, we still got, what, 2 sets laying here, so we're in good shape. Thank you.
The thoughts of Jake Garcia. We'll restart this race in second, guys.
Thanks, Jim. And you see there the number 96 car of Derek Thorne, former Snowball Derby champion. We were wondering who Buddy Shepard made contact as he spun in turn number 2. And it was, in fact, the Highlands Motorsports number 96 machine of our 2022 Snowball Derby champion Thorne, who traditionally qualifies exceptionally well in this race, normally up towards the front of the field, was outside the top 10, started 15th today, but the team and the veteran driver doing what they needed to be, running up in that top 15 or so spot after the caution came out. But you can see some obvious damage to the right front bodywork of Derek Thorne's car. We are under a caution and red flag with 120 laps in the books of the 58th annual Snowball Derby. 180 laps to go. We'll come back for the restart right after this.
For over 2 decades, Fastlane Racing Apparel has been the official merchandise partner of Flags Speedway and the Snowball Derby. Visit shopsnowballderby.com for the official event merchandise of the 57th Snowball Derby, or find us at our 3-track locations.
MD3, the most advanced body panels on the market. Aerodynamically engineered, manufactured from the highest grade and lightest weight materials, tested tough for optimum performance. The highest quality and most durable products you'll find anywhere. Our products help racers around the world reach victory lane. Winning never looked so good. MD3, the #1 body choice for top dirt racers.
Hi, I'm JP Wibbs, and here at Buggy Works, we have the largest selection of new and used vehicles on the Gulf Coast. We also offer certified technician services and rentals. Come see our new location, Buggy Works, in the heart of Car City.
At Buzzy Racing, it's all blood, sweat, and gears because we're racers first.
We're a family business, but more than that, we build what we'd race.
Steering boxes, transmissions, rear ends. If it goes under the race car, we build it.
Buzzy Racing.
Family owned,
track proven.
Built by racers, for racers.
Women-owned and manufactured in South Carolina, PFC Brakes is the #1 choice for motorsports, fleets, auto manufacturers, and first responders. PFC delivers the best brakes on the market, guaranteed to outlast and outperform the competition. If you're looking to win at the track or reduce downtime for your fleet, or just need more stopping power when towing your boat or trailer, look no further than PFC Brakes. Visit us at pfcbrakes.com to find your local PFC Brakes distributor today. PFC Brakes are bred to win, from the track to the job site. No compromises.
For more than 35 years, Flying A Motorsports has been the trusted name in race trailers, motor coaches, and toter homes. As the world's #1 intake trailer dealer, Flying A leads the way in custom-designed race trailers and car haulers built to fit your vision. With a massive lineup of in-stock inventory and fully built custom builds from top brands like Intech, Renegade, Showhauler, T&E, Bravo, and C-Tech, we're ready to equip racers at every level. Whether you're a dirt racer, drag racer, or hot rodder alike, we have something for you.
The red flag has been lifted here at Flags Speedway, the 58th annual Snowball Derby, presented by Flow Sports. Eric Brennan alongside of Adam Mackey, Jim Trado, Bob Dillner joining us down trackside as our Joe Racing Products pit reporters for the event. After the caution came out for a spin involving Buddy Shepard, who qualified his way into his 2nd consecutive Snowball Derby. Even though it looked as though it was going to be a harmless slide, as the car came to a stop, he was struck by former Derby champion Derek Thorne. Here's how it happened.
Yeah, Dustin Smith was behind him. They were too wide, and Shepard was in the outside lane, and Smith got into the throttle in turn 2 a little quicker than Shepard, and Shepard obviously unhappy. He was on older tires, so Smith has probably fresh rubber, a little bit faster at that stage in turn 2, and kind of moved him over, caused the crash. Jim?
Yeah, the right front fender got tucked in, guys. There's also damage behind the right front wheel on the fender where it meets up with the door panel. So a lot of body massaging going on here in a very quick fashion. The hood got buckled a little bit. The nose got pinched back into the tire. So bare bond and other things going on in quick fashion here at Derek Thorne's pit. The jack's up, but there's a lot of body stuff they need to do down here on this Santa Claus Ramp 96. Bob?
Hey guys, a funny little story about Preston Peltier. Led laps early, running 5th right now. Preston, right before he climbed in the car, I was walking the grid, and he came running up to me and he said, "Hey, what's the oldest winner of the Snowball Derby?" And we've joked about his age being 48 years old, and David Gilliland 49, and some of the old guys here against some of these young kids. Well, Preston Peltier says, "Man, it matters to me. I would like to know." Well, it's Eddie Mercer, 47 years old. Preston is 48. If he were to win here today, he'd be the oldest winner of the Snowball Derby.
Well, we had the youngest winner in snowflake history in Keelan Harvick the other day. Was it the other day? Yesterday morning? When did that race end?
Technically, yeah, yesterday morning.
Still yesterday. Why not bookend the weekend with maybe one of the oldest potential winners of the Snowball Derby, and Peltier, who has been so stout?
Hard to believe that the oldest winner has been 47 years of age. It doesn't seem that old.
We're getting there. I'm getting there.
I'm real close.
As we take a look at our 5-star body speed shot, again, wrapping up this caution period, still shy of the halfway point with Ty Majeski, the race leader. Differing pit strategies for several of the competitors. You see Derek Thorne coming back down to the attention of his crew after ramping over the front nose of Buddy Shepard's car in turn number 2. So Majeski, the leader. And Thorne and company are going to have to hustle here because we're about a lap and a half away from the restart. They're going to put a little bit more bear bond on that front end and see if they can send Derek back out for more battle.
If it was mostly cosmetic on the 96 and it did not mess with the right front suspension, he's very fortunate because he ripped the whole nose off of the 22 of Shepard. Now, most of it was just bracing for the nose piece and some of the air box for the radiator, so he might have come away with this pretty well unscathed for the Sucker Punch 96 of Derek Thorne.
So the restart will come with 174 laps to go, with Majeski leading over Jake Garcia, who is currently running in the best spot he's ever finished in the Snowball Derby. Runner-up as he did so in 2019 to Travis Braden. As we mentioned, he was the last car in the last chance race, and a pair of NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series drivers make up the front row with Gilliland and Finch row 2.
Another good restart for Ty Majeski as expected, and smooth through 1 and 2. Garcia's car looks good as well. The battle for third. Gilliland on the inside of Finch.
And just behind this fight as Gilliland washes up into the door of Finch. The car leading the charge as far as drivers who took tires the last yellow in Preston Peltier, but Davis may have him off the bottom as Gilliland and Finch touch again in turn 2.
Yeah, the fresh tires right there being held up by a couple of cars that are on older tires. Davis, Peltier, up the track they go. Gilliland racing hard. The bottom line opens up, and here comes Spencer Davis looking for a 2-for-1.
Davis did not want to wait any longer. Now he gets Gilliland off the bottom. Into the left rear quarter panel of Finch off turn 2. Davis on a charge inside of Finch to move up to third with Nassie following him through.
Nassie starting 32nd today. He's up inside of the top 5 as he moves up that way right now. Finch holding the 4th position last time by the line. Nassie takes it away. Here comes Butcher as well after some adjustments to his 28.
Butcher, whose racing resume includes several big league wins and championships in his 9th Snowball Derby, looking to try to capture this race after having 4 top 5s and 6 top 10s prior. Peltier back to the inside, gets around Finch, and then the 33 car of Dustin Smith in the top 10, looking to try to follow suit.
Gavin Bichelle in the white 24, a backup car after a practice crash a couple of days ago. Getting some laps in this car now and moving forward after starting at the back of the field today.
The most recent caution, that 3 car, Michael Atwell on the right side of your picture. He was just behind Derek Thorne as there was contact there between Bubba Pollard and Dylan Fetcho going into 3. Pollard saves the car.
We knew racing would be fast and furious when we got some green flag laps in here because of the older tires at the front of the field. So far, Majeski's been able to hold them off. Spencer Davis, the first one on fresh rubbers, picked up 5 spots, maybe 6 after the restart. He's up to 3rd, and he's trying to track down the leaders.
Pollard now in danger of losing several spots here. He's running in the 14th spot. That's Matt Craig in the 44 up to the inside. Hayden Plybon in the 55. The 9 car of Derek Kraus. He spun 2 cautions ago and is rebounding nicely. He's trying to get himself back on the lead lap if at all possible. He's a couple of laps down but still running in his lead pack as Pollard remains kicked up topside with Plybon down low.
Yeah, Pollard on the older tires, has Plybon, has Kraus, has Honeycutt, all lining up behind. Now remember, Derek Kraus made like his first 8 Snowball Derbies starting when he was about 14 years of age and has missed a couple since. But Kraus made it this year, and right now the 9 car from Wisconsin looks pretty strong.
Kraus currently 1 lap down. In fact, he's the highest running car 1 lap down, so he's hoping for a quick caution as Davis is knocking on the door. Nasty to the inside, 3 wide for second to turn 1.
There's the fresh tires coming forward, and Nasty's car is strong for the number 2 position. They battle it out. Butcher's been able to pick up a spot as well. Nasty for second.
These are the top 2 cars that have put on tires most recently after the top 7 stayed out 2 cautions prior. Nasty now is going to lead that charge. He takes over the 2nd spot and sets his sights on Ty Majeski for the lead, who is up by about 3 seconds over this battle for the runner-up position.
When a car handles as well as Ty Majeski's does, even though he's on the older tires, it's not putting as much wear into them. He has a big lead build up. We'll watch that lead shrink now, though, I believe. Nasty with the fresher tires closing the gap. Was just slightly quicker last time by. We'll see how the gap goes from 2.8. This time at the line, 2.6. Couple of tenths off. Nasty is quicker.
Things finally start to settle out a little bit across the top 5, except for this fight for 5th position on the right side of your picture. Here comes Preston Peltier to the inside of Jake Garcia, while Majeski continues to be a smooth operator at the head of the pack. Move Peltier back up into the top 5, and smoke on Spencer Davis' car. The 3rd place runner showing a lot of smoke underneath that 96.
Yeah, that's not good for the Davis team. They hope it's maybe a slight rub, but I don't know that he's made any contact recently, but it's coming out of the right front, that's for sure.
Spencer Davis making his first Snowball Derby attempt since 2018. It's had top 5 pace all race long, and there is going to be some definite concern out of that Ben Kennedy Racing team with smoke continuing to billow out from what looks to be behind the right front tire.
Doesn't look like the fender is down on the tire, but it has that look of a tire rub. So I'm sure some concern for the team of Spencer Davis. Hearing that it is tire rub on the 96. It's a lot of smoke. How long does the tire stay up if it is in fact a tire rub on Spencer Davis's car?
So Davis continues to nurse this issue that is certainly more evident in the corners, but I'm with you, Adam. It doesn't appear as though that bodywork has been pushed over on that tire, but definitely a lot of concern out of that team. It's not hurting him on the stopwatch, though. He's staying right with Stephen Nasty, still running in this 3rd spot. The team possibly hoping for a yellow for a chance to diagnose this issue. That doesn't appear to be getting any better.
Tony Uri Jr. and the team, I'm sure, very concerned, and he's getting the black flag. So if it was just a tire rub, I think it would be something they would allow to stay on the racetrack. I believe they're getting reports of some fluid.
The official said the whole right side of the car appears to be lathered in oil. We'll get a good look at it here as he comes by.
Oh,
Indeed,
yeah.
Look at that at the top of the number. My goodness.
So definitely a leak to the 96 of Spencer Davis. And at that rate, definitely putting some stuff down on the track. I don't really see anyone skating around yet, which is a good sign. But the 96 getting the black flag again from Chief Starter Dan Spence.
And the 3rd place runner, Spencer Davis, is no longer going to be scored, and he will lift on the back straightaway. They were trying to exhaust as many laps possible in hopes of catching a yellow. And the 3rd place car, Spencer Davis, pitting under green with a mechanical gremlin plaguing that car and driver, and he will not hoist the Tom Dawson Trophy in 2025.
Fortunately, it looks like most of the oil had come down just the side of the car and not onto the racetrack surface, but he was leaking quite profusely, and now the leader Ty Majeski working traffic again. He's caught the back of the field. Behind him is the 30 of Lapsevich. In front of him, the 16 of Gomes.
Majeski's going to come to the line here. It will be halfway in the Snowball Derby. 150 laps to go as Majeski has caught the back of the pack. On the right side, heartbreak for the Ben Kennedy Racing team as they try to see where that leak may have started.
Spencer Davis and that team so fast today. Bob, are they going to be able to fix the leak?
They're looking at it right now, and there's fluid all over the place. It looks like a power steering leak on this machine. So not oil, not the engine whatsoever, but a possible power steering leak on this machine. But the right side of underneath the hood is completely coated for Spencer Davis.
Thanks, Bob. Spencer may be happy that it was a bit obvious there with that issue of obviously not wanting to have to come down the pit lane and be taken out of contention, but hustling a super late model around 5 Flags Speedway without power steering, that is a tall order, and the team will see if they can get him back out there for some R&D.
Yeah, he was still up to speed, and we watch now as Majeski tries to put another lap on the 16 of Jacob Gomes. Right now, Gomes trying to defend the position. Gomes is a couple laps off the pace as it is and not giving up the bottom lane. There's Garcia moving over. Smith and Raz able to make it by to the inside.
And we understand there might have been some contact between Dustin Smith and Jake Garcia that premeditated those two cars of Smith and Cole Raz being able to get by Garcia, who's now fallen out of the top 5. Smith to 5th, Raz to 6th, Garcia running in 7th. And Ty Majeski has really started to give up some time to Stephen Nasse as he's working his way through some of these cars, trying to stay on the lead lap. That's Brandon Lopez in the 6th, just in front of him in 23rd. The team car to that 6th, Kyle Busch, the next car potentially to go a lap down. And Majeski has come from, or I should say Majeski's lead is gone from 3 seconds down to just over 1 second as Nasse starts to close.
Brandon Lopez 23rd in the running order, down the lap now, 22 drivers on the lead lap, next of which is Kyle Busch, final driver on the lead lap in front of Ty Majeski.
Majeski now clear of Lopez. The next car in line will be Kyle Busch, the 30 behind Majeski, several laps down. Trayton Lapsevich after his problems earlier in the race. But Ty Majeski leading the field. Kyle Busch, who got the free pass earlier on in the race, went on a different strategy to try to gain some track position. We'll see another 2-time Snowball Derby champion go by.
Remember, he was on a different game plan, had fresh tires for a while, but not on this run, and it's hurting the 51 of Kyle Busch. We watched Dustin Smith, Cole Raz, Cole Butcher, 4th, 5th, and 6th. Smith having a nice day.
Butcher falling out of the top 5 here with Smith and Raz also on a different agenda, being able to race their way up through the most of the field to get into this top 5 spot. It's Smith and Raz 4th and 5th. And Raz is still applying heavy pressure. How about the charge from Raz? 24 spots up from where he started in 29th.
There are a lot of drivers in the top 10 we can say the same for. Dustin Smith up 22, Cole Raz up 24, Jake Garcia up 27, up 28 spots. Gavin Bichelle in 2nd place. Stephen Nasse up 30 spots in this race.
Smith and Raz still having the best fight for position right now, which would be the battle for 4th. With Majeski able to now nurse that lead back up to 2 seconds over Stephen Nasse. Preston Peltier in sole possession of 3rd as this fight for 4th continues to be nose to tail off of turn 2.
Raz looking for an opening to get by Smith in 4th. We've surpassed the halfway mark of the race, closing on the 2/3 mark of the race. Lap 162 completed. Raz has a really good race car. We've known that since the start when he was able to pick up a lot of spots in the early going, get himself out of being in jeopardy for going a lap down early in the race when Ty Majeski was starting to lap the back of the field. And Raz frantic pace continues inside the top 5 and wanting more.
And on the left side, you can see Ty Majeski closing up to Bubba Pollard to put him a lap down. Majeski on the bottom side, and the 18th effort for Bubba Pollard to try to hoist the Tom Dawson Trophy just got a little bit more difficult as he has fallen a lap off the leader. And the next car in line, Chase Pinsino, who will fall a lap down, is not too much further ahead of Majeski. You see him there.
You want to say that Bubba Pollard being on older tires than a lot of the field right now, as only 7 stayed out under that yellow flag. as part of the reason he went a lap down. Well, Ty Majeski was also on the same time frame of having newer tires. Majeski's car, though, handling so much better right now. It is hooked up, so this strategy hasn't hurt Majeski as it has Bubba Pollard.
You see Cole Raz making the move on Smith to take over 4th position. And I should say that Pollard does have a little bit of a buffer between the next car that Majeski will put a lap down. Pinsino and Derek Thorne are already a lap down. Or I should say Pinsino and Derek Kraus are already a lap down. Derek Thorne would be the next car to fall a lap off the leaders in 20th. Pollard still hoping for a quick caution to get the free pass. Let's get an update from our Joe's Racing Products pit reporter. Here's Jim.
This is 51 car Stephen Massey crossing the start finish line now in 2nd position. He actually just was asked by his crew chief, Chris Gator, how's the car? He said, no worries about the popping on the straightaways, but I am loose in. They're about 60 laps into this tire run, but the smiles on their faces, for Chris Gator especially, he's like, he likes to hear what his driver just told him. He said the car's good, a little bit loose in, but I'm wheeling it.
And Massey doing exactly what he did a year ago, charging from 30th or worse to get up to 2nd spot. Did so much earlier in this race, however. It took him until about 80 laps to go last year to get up into podium contention before he got to the back bumper of the eventual winner, Honeycutt. Massey riding in the 2nd spot right now, 2 seconds off of Majeski, the leader.
Yeah, and he'd closed down to just over a second, so Majeski kind of got back up on it. Remember, those cars that were slowing Majeski down, Massey then had to get around them as well, so I'm sure lap traffic playing a part in the successes of our top 2 who have pulled away from the rest of the field.
Bad news for Bubba Pollard. Derek Thorne has just been lapped by Ty Majeski. Thorne now the first car 1 lap down. Ahead of that would end up being our defending Snowball Derby champion Caden Honeycutt, who is running in 19th. The last car on the lead lap right now.
Watching Massey running in the 2nd position. Back to the 26 of Dawson Sutton. Sutton running 9th. His team, they expected him to rocket toward the front, remember, after that pit stop. Said he had a really good race car, and on fresh tires they thought that he would shoot to the front. It's been a little bit of a struggle for Sutton, just inside of the top 10. Finished his first Derby in 10th a year ago.
He will make that pass on the number 35 to move up that spot. So we got a car off the pace. I believe that was actually Spencer Davis re-entering the racetrack in turn number 2. They may have fixed that power steering lead to get him back out on the racetrack. And how about Gavin Bichelle in that white number 24 car? Adam, you documented the practice crash this young man had in the one and only session that was held here on Friday morning. Didn't get the result he wanted to in qualifying, but by virtue of his commitment to one of the provisional options that were available, made the field for the first time, and he has raced his way up into the 7th spot in what has been a fantastic Snowball Derby debut for this young man.
Yeah, Gavin Bichelle is having a nice run, and he was pretty confident in saying with the backup car he should be fine. They've raced with it, they've won with it, and he's having very good success over the first 2/3 of this race, closing on moving into the top 5. Currently in 7th spot, right behind his teammate Cole Butcher.
Gavin recently announced he's going to run a part-time ARCA Menard Series slate for Nitro Motorsports in 2026 as he gets a good drive off the 2nd turn and inside of Cole Butcher to try to move up to 6th spot with Dawson Sutton lurking.
Looks like Dawson Sutton's car is really good on the long runs. Could have saved a little bit early on this green flag run, makes the pass of Butcher. Cole Butcher in the 28. Not the type of run we thought we would see him have today, and here comes Pollard dropping to the bottom. Bubba Pollard heading pit side. 1 lap down, not the day he was wanting, and it looks like it will be 1 more year without Pollard in that Tom Dawson trophy.
The 18th try will not be the charm for Bubba Pollard as he has come down the pit lane with the rest of the field flashing by, and with a little more than 120 laps to go, Bubba Pollard's afternoon appears to be over. Let's go down to Bob Dillner, who is in the pit lane.
They are going to work on this race car, put some new tires on this machine. This car has been evil for Bubba Pollard, so they've been trying to figure it out. The nose piece is crunched up a little bit, but honestly, it was just time to come in and make some sort of an adjustment to try to save the day for Bubba Pollard. He actually shuts off the race car now as they take a look at the right side, especially the right front on this machine. You walk over there and take a look, but can't see exactly what's wrong with Bubba Pollard right now.
So while Pollard's car sits down in the pit lane, the fight for 3rd begins to intensify. Cole Raz is not done climbing up through the field. He is all over Preston Peltier, our pole sitter for P3.
Peltier's had a nice day, but a quiet day somewhat. Kind of running just inside the top 5. Faded a little bit early in the race to the tail end of the top 5, then rallied a little bit. Car is still pretty good for the pole sitter, Preston Peltier. Looking for his first Derby win as Cole Raz is attacking the 48 and makes the move in turn 3.
Raz up to third. Majeski still the leader by just over 2 seconds on Nassi. And Cole Raz is about 3 seconds behind the pace setter of Ty Majeski with a little more than 100 laps to go in this race.
Cole Raz strong since the beginning, and he's not done yet as he closes the gap on Stephen Nassi. We heard Nassi report to his team loose into the corner. Well, Nassi right now is fallen back by 2.5 seconds to Ty Majeski. He was as close to about a second within the leader, and Cole Raz is closing the gap quickly for second place.
Also starting to see a lot of ill-handling cars out on the racetrack. And the battle for second is starting to intensify. We did get an update that it was a fitting on the oil pump that came loose for Spencer Davis, causing the problem for him to have to come to the pit lane under green. They did get the car back out there, but his hopes to win this race dashed because of a fitting on the oil pump, causing a leak on that car. And after he did circulate the car back out on the track for 1 lap, they did retire the car from the event. So Davis's afternoon is done.
Second place battle about to heat up. When we get our next yellow flag, it could be a set of final pit stops depending on how these yellows fall. And we would expect to see some late race cautions just because the intensity picks up. But we have seen some long green flag runs here this afternoon.
Rolls now turning up the heat, or I should say Cole Raz now turning up the heat on Stephen Nassi in this battle for second with some traffic ahead. That's Derek Thorne, who has fallen a lap down. The next car up the road after he sustained some damage in an incident with Buddy Shepard in turn 2 on a most recent caution that came on lap 120.
Cole Raz third place, Stephen Nassi second place. About to be in a battle closing as well on slower traffic, and you can see the amount of ground that Nassi gave up going into turn 1 that time as Ty Majeski left side of the screen working on lapping the 55 of Hayden Plybon. That gives us 17 drivers now on the lead lap. Derek Griffith right in front of him is already off of the lead lap, a couple of laps down.
And the next car to go a lap down would be Caden Honeycutt, who has been trying to match the pace of Majeski. He's been gaining positions as the run has gone on to give himself a little bit of a buffer to not fall off the lead lap, while Raz gets a good drive off in turn 4 and continues to stalk the backside of Stephen Nassi for the runner-up spot, happening about 2 seconds behind the leader Majeski, who's on the back straightaway.
See how hard Nassi works to keep the 76 at bay. They're going to have more pit stops. His car is good, but not as good as the 76. Don't want to put yourself in jeopardy here of getting the bump and run. Left side of the screen, Majeski continues to slice and dice his way through lap traffic.
Here's Raz, got a good drive off the corner. Inside is Stephen Nassi for second, and Nassi lets him take the spot.
Smart move there for Nassi. Let Raz go. He's way faster at this point. You've got a yellow coming up here shortly. Got the 76 of Cole Raz into the runner-up spot. Impressive run to the day for the driver of car 76.
Hard to gauge the pace of this car with Majeski and Raz now running in a bit of lap traffic with Derek Kraus up ahead in the 9 car. Brandon Lopez in the blue 6 side by side in front of Raz. This gets a little bit dodgy. And Raz will follow Kraus through to the inside of Lopez. Now peek down low on the 9 car of Kraus to see if he has a chance to start closing the gap on the race leader Majeski.
Kraus and Lopez already off of the lead lap at that point, so they move over. Here comes Nassi to the inside. 4th and 5th also closing the gap on Stephen Nassi. I'm pretty sure the Pinellas Park, Florida driver in the 51 would like to see a yellow soon so they can make that adjustment, fine-tune the car. It's been fast today. It's not Ty Majeski fast. It's not Cole Raz fast right now. And here come a couple more in the top 5.
Michael Atwell with a big slide off the second turn, going to fall a lap off the leaders as Majeski goes through. Majeski has now lapped up to 16th place. Dylan Feccio, the next car in line, in the red number 89 to go a potential lap down, as Atwell in the 3 car goes 1 lap off the leaders in 17th spot, hoping to see a yellow soon. If he can get the free pass, that 3 car looks real loose.
Ty Majeski's car today, that thing is nearly perfect, if it isn't perfect. he's on old tires compared to all of the other drivers that are in the top 10 with him. And he continues just to rip off fast laps and stay out in front of the field and work through traffic. We are just a lap away from 100 to go in the final 1/3 of the race.
Get a look at Cole Rad's team, watching him go down the front straightaway. Cole in his 3rd consecutive Snowball Derby. Last year had to avoid a major accident on the front straightaway. Came up a few spots shy of a potential top 10 in his 2nd Snowball Derby start. He's in 2nd place now with 100 laps to go. Ty Majeski still the leader.
Derek Thorne in the 96. Running right now 1 lap down in 19th position.
Majeski has gotten around Dylan Fetcho to put him a lap off the leader. The next car that could fall a lap down as he looks to the inside of Jacob Gomes, last year's 4th place finisher Jace Hansen, hoping the math works in his favor to see either an organic caution or perhaps one of the 100 lap mandatory cautions that would come out after 100 laps of green flag racing. We're starting to inch closer towards that territory, and Mark, we'll see if Hansen could hang on to a lead lap spot.
Watching Ty Majeski, left side of the screen, 15 laps away from a comp yellow of 100 green flag laps, and that's if we in fact don't get a natural yellow before then.
Here's Peltier after they kind of closed up on Nassi, who was running in the 2nd spot. Chase Pincinot is a lap down to that 14 machine. And Dustin Smith, who is having a great drive so far here today, continuing to work over the back end of Preston Peltier, who gets loose at 3 and 4. Smith to the bottom.
Smith alongside Peltier, close on the middle of the front straightaway. Gavin Bushell to come along as well. Bushell moving into the top 5 now as it gets around the 48 of Peltier all the way from the final starting position. Gavin Bushell into the top 5.
And the Derby debut for Bushell continues to grow more impressive. He continues to stay with Dustin Smith, who has made his 3rd Snowball Derby this season, with his best outing coming 1 year ago, finishing 12th. He's doing much better than that here in the top 5 as Nassi slips up 2 cars in front of them, and Bushell closing in at 24.
Yeah, Nassi needs a pit stop. He's going to get one in less than 10 laps, just trying to salvage a top 5 run right now. But that car was loose in earlier. I think it's loose all the way through the corner now as you watch the back end skate around. Smith talked about his success a year ago. He's only making his 3rd Derby start. He missed a couple of Derby attempts, but he's got a really good race car today. We've seen him up in the top 5. He's working to try to take the 3rd spot from Nassi. Plenty of experience at Five Flags Speedway for the Alabama driver.
These drivers have to hang on for about 10 more laps as here comes Smith to the bottom of Nassi. Expecting the caution to come if the math works in our favor in about 10 laps from now, a little less than 10 laps from now, as Nassi falls back to 4th. Smith up to 3rd. Bushell on the back bumper, and Nassi for 4th place off at turn number 2.
Thought he was going to get the nudge there, but Bushell kind of checked up, leaving a little space between the two, waiting for the right opportunity. His car is much better at this stage of the race. I would say within the next lap, you're going to see the move from Gavin Bushell.
Nassi trying to hang on, and they got more company coming. Dawson Sutton in the 26. Here's Bushell to the inside in 3. Nassi concedes. Will try to fall back in line and see if he can protect this 5th position up until the time of the yellow, with Dawson Sutton and Preston Peltier coming back to him.
Cole Butcher in the 28 has gone down a lap. Has he not? Yes, he has. 20th position. Cole Butcher, a tough day for the champion of many different series this year. Blizzard Series, ASA Stars National Tour, CRA Southern Super Series, but Cole Butcher, that car has just been a little bit off today.
Butcher was a driver that a lot of people had penciled in as a potential favorite, as you see how loose that car is off the corner, even with the Canada native trying to take it easy on the throttle with some of the lead lap cars going by.
Dawson Sutton has his hands full right now as well. They were expecting to be strong on this green flag run. He's hanging on to that race car, wanting to get to lap 215, just a couple of laps away from it.
So Ty Majeski, the leader, his lead over Cole Raz down to 0.8 of a second, as we should be about 5 laps away from what would be our next caution should this race stay green.
Now keep in mind, these teams have a couple sets of tires down in the pits. Because of these long runs today, they may leave a set of tires in the pits that they don't end up using.
You see the crew chief for Ty Majeski waiting for the opportunity for that team to go to work to see if they can keep what has been the best car of this race still in contention, with Raz closing from second spot. You saw Kyle Busch fall another lap off the leaders. Dustin Smith third, Gavin Michelle fourth, Preston Peltier your top 5.
When I look at the drivers 6 through 10, following Nassi, you've got Sutton. We've talked quite a bit about those two today. Matt Craig, Casey Klein, Ty Fredrickson. We haven't talked much about those 3 drivers. They're doing a nice job today. Very little Derby experience. And Matt Craig has quite a bit, but the other 2 not so much, and they're having nice days in the top 10.
As we expect this yellow to come about a couple of laps from now. Right now 13 cars on the lead lap. Jake Finch, the last of those running on the lead lap after starting this race in 4th. Jace Hansen, the first car, 1 lap down, hoping to hang on to that spot as Raz is on the bumper, and he wants to lead off turn 2 before this caution flag flies.
Peaks to the inside in 3 and 4, still green in turn 4. Raz takes the lead, comes to the line, and as he does, we do get the competition yellow. So Cole Raz, the lead change, and that could be huge for what will be the upcoming restart.
And you see Majeski pulling up. Curious to see if this is going to revert back to the previous lap due to the time of the caution. Doesn't appear so. But Cole Raz trying to take command of this race at what will be the most pivotal moment and stop. Now at the head of this pack. And as you see, Jake Finch was able to stay on the lead lap. Jace Hansen unofficially will receive the free pass.
And there's the 91 taking back the lead because the yellow was out before the 76 of Raz got back to the line, which makes sense. He did not complete a lap out in front, but we know that 76 is fast, and he's going to have, we're at about 80 laps to go right now, probably close to 70 to go, to try to show that he's the better driver and the better car today at Five Flags Speedway. Such a strong run for Cole Raz in the number 2 spot.
Yeah, with most traditional short track racing series and events, due to there being one and only scoring loop, the start-finish line at the Speedway, many series and events elect to revert back to the previous lap in terms of scoring at the time of a yellow. So Raz unfortunately was about 1 lap shy of being able to take that lead and hold it to this point. So Majeski still scored the lead with Raz second, and I think we are about to see a very, very busy pit lane. Just about everybody coming to the attention of their crews. This is going to be the most active pit road we have had all day. And Raz is the first car to come to the attention of his crew on the turn 4 side of pit road, and they go to work.
Yeah, Raz did not get the lead officially, but this team pretty happy with what the setup is. Crew Chief Jeff Jefferson putting the jack under the left front, changing right sides when they get the chance. Lefts are going on first. The jack and tires are ready on the right side. Checking pressures on the left side. Could be just, nope, you want to make sure that what the pressures were. Then they're changing to the new ones. They see what the tires have grown. If this is the last pit stop, these guys got to get it right. 1 year ago, Ty Majeski had a great car, led a bunch of laps, but did not have the short run speed late in the going and dropped to 3rd. Stephen Nassi's also at pit road, complaining that the car now is snappy loose. They're going to work on that car down on pit road as he dropped back to 3rd here before this caution, Bob.
Calm, cool, and collected in the pit for Ty Majeski. Toby Noodleman leading this team, looking at what's going on, making sure they get the fuel inside that race car. Taking a look at the left rear, they told me no chassis adjustments whatsoever. Toby Noodleman with some tape in his hand. Looks like he might be putting on some tape on the front grille for the crew chief of this machine. But Ty Majeski has said this car is very good, and it's been evident on the racetrack. So all good down here in the 91 camp for Ty Majeski, the dominator so far.
Updates on the top 2 cars. You see Stephen Nassi, who lost a couple of spots in the last stretch run to get to this point in the race. Trying to better the runner-up finish from 2024 to get the one race that has eluded his professional super late model racing career. This is the 15th attempt for Stephen Nassi to win the Snowball Derby, and they have put on display that car and of course that driver do have the pace to get the job done, as everybody will pretty much be on a level playing field for this 80-lap stretch run to the checkered flag.
HD5 best appearing car winner in 2025 at the Snowball Derby for Stephen Nassie's 51. Beautiful scheme coming into this year for the Mitch Smith Auto Service number 51 ride. Cole Raz, adjustments done, fresh rubber, and ready to pull out of his pit stall. Talked about Ty Majeski not having quite the speed on the short runs last year. I think it's got the speed on the short runs, the middle runs, the long runs. I think he could drive all day. He was on old rubber there. Those tires had, what, 150 laps on them?
And that car looks smooth. I mean, we saw just about everybody, if they were a little bit too abusive with the right foot coming off the corner, have a bit of a moment. Majeski, not so much. It's looked like a slot car all day long. As you see the teams release the cars back out to the racetrack to wrap up this caution, they will affirm the positions that they were in at the time of yellow. 13 cars on the lead lap at the time of the caution flag, and as we mentioned, Jace Hansen will receive the free pass, so it will be 14 lead lap cars when we get the 58th annual Snowball Derby presented by Flow Sports back underway.
What a season it's been for super late model racing, all culminating with the Snowball Derby, Appalachian Sucker Punch, ASA Stars National Tour with 12 big events this year. Super late model racing kind of after the start of the year, the unofficial start at Speed Fest coming up in Cordele, Georgia. January 23rd and 24th. Jim?
Just an update on Stephen Nassie's team. What they did, put a little more wedge in it. They thought the tire change and the pressure adjustment would help. But Nassie was irate when the caution came out. He said, man, I worked so hard those last 20 laps before that caution. Something's going on with this race car. Chris did not do any adjustments. Chris Cater, the crew chief, other than the wedge adjustment. So they're hoping with these fresher tires, that feeling will come right back to Stephen. They also were talking about rear brake bias and using a little more rear brake to get the handling settled down on that number 51 machine, who dropped from third deep in the field there, it seemed like, late in the going in that run.
Not many changes across the pit road for a lot of the really good cars in this field, and that includes the 33 of Dustin Smith. Dustin is not a full-time racer. He works in the recycling business, but he loves racing. Track champion at Mobile coming here. Alex Query is his crew chief. I just spoke to Alex Query. I said, how good is this race car? He goes, it's honestly really good. No changes whatsoever. They just fueled this machine, put the 4 tires on the car. Dustin Smith having the ride of a lifetime here today at Flags Speedway.
Thanks, Bob. And Smith also has had a bit of adversity already on the weekend. Let's not forget that in that one and only hour of practice that they had, that team had some type of fluid leak on that number 33 car. Did not get the practice time and effort they were hoping for. And they've proven they've got a good piece here today with Smith going to restart this race up inside the top 5.
It's honestly crazy how good he's been today with the problems that he had in practice. He had the problem, they came to the pits, they tried to fix it, never really got good laps at speed on practice day, and they've made up for that quickly. Back to Bob.
Just want to give you an update a little bit on Cole Raz. Interesting situation here yesterday. He actually cut his hand, his left hand, on that race car while working on it. So the team actually had to continue working. He actually got 4 stitches on that left hand. So he's driving with an injured left hand here. Obviously, that's the one that grabs the steering wheel all the time. But Cole Raz, interesting situation with those stitches on his left hand and having such a great run here today in the Snowball Derby.
Able to fight through the pain with what is a very, very fast race car for Cole Raz at number 76, who's going to move up to the outside of Ty Majeski for this ensuing restart. Cole Raz driving a Port City race car. If he is able to win the Snowball Derby today, it would be the first time that a Port City chassis that won this race since Eric Jones did so back in 2012. So Cole carrying the banner for Port City race cars today. He's got a very stout race car.
Well, who made the right adjustments? Who will the fresh rubber help the most? Everyone on new tires, and many of the teams still with tires left in the pits. The question will be, if you get to about lap 270 and get another yellow, will we see more pit stops and drivers taking on fresh rubber? I don't think the 91 will come pit side. I think he's going to be tough here on this restart. But does Cole Raz have anything for him?
As the sun starts to glisten down the main straightaway, we are going to restart this race with 76 laps to go. Ty Majeski gets us up to speed. Raz spins the tires. He's able to get up wide with Michelle to the middle.
Not A good restart for Raz, and it's not over yet. Can he get down? Sutton trying to keep that from happening. He does now get down to the second lane at least. He and Nassi caught in the second groove. Sutton on the bottom. Matt Craig in the Bob Lyons number 44 on the bottom lane as well.
Craig on the lead lap, trying to get up to the top 5 for the first time today. Raz rockets through to the top side to protect 5th. Nassi just about got the front end of his race car chopped off by Craig off 2.
Yeah, Craig closed the door, wasn't quite clear, and now Nassi's boxed in behind him. He can get to the bottom now, and that leaves Matt Craig in the outside lane looking to get down. So does the one of Casey Klein.
Haven't talked about Casey Klein all that much today. The Washington driver in his first Snowball Derby running in the top 10. Here's Bichelle on Peltier in a battle for third off turn 4.
Gavin Bichelle inside the top 5 not long before we got our most recent yellow. Many of the drivers have turned their fastest lap of the race the last time by, including Majeski, Smith, Raz, Sutton, and Klein.
Bichelle is going to take that spot away. Right side, Caden Honeycutt, defending champion of this race, involved in an early spin on lap 39, battling back from that spin after being in danger of going a lap down several times today. Honeycutt is up to 8th. Klein to the inside on Craig. There's contact.
Oh, that was a bold move. Drove it in like 10 men in turn 3 did Casey Klein, and now Craig is going to get shuffled back at the outside. Jake Finch to the bottom. Derek Thorne in the 96 peaking low as well.
Thorne still about a lap down. Finch is going to pick up the spot on Craig. Thorne trying to keep the fender down low. Craig continuing to fall back with a little bit of a blemish on the left rear of that race car after the brush with Klein as Thorne goes down low. That is not for position, but Craig starting to struggle a little bit here after just losing that top 10 spot.
Hayden Plybon in the 55 car, not on the lead lap, 1 lap off the pace. Ty Fredrickson's on the lead lap in the 36, running in the 12th position. Nice day for Ty Fredrickson. Oh, big hit there. Again, Matt Craig has been a pinball after this restart, continues to get shuffled back. Might happen again with Atwell there.
Craig desperately trying to get to the bottom. The 36 of Fredrickson was for position, and the reason why Derek Thorne is trying to rip through the field, he's the first car a lap down. If the caution flag was to fly, Thorne would be the recipient of the free pass. Plybon chasing him for that honor, and the same could be said for Butcher in the 28 and Atwell in the 3, also a lap off the leaders.
As we watch the furious battles back in the field, Ty Majeski has built a 1.6 second lead at the front of the pack over Dustin Smith. Stephen Nassi, right before that last yellow, had faded. He had lost several spots. Now he's on his way back forward again to the inside of Cole Raz for 6th.
And the one thing that Nassi has proven to us time and time again, this is a very good long run car. He certainly wants to get a bit of a rhythm going here as he makes the pass on Cole Raz. And he will try to see if he can crack the top 5 yet again today with Dawson Sutton, the next car. He's trying to chase back down.
Yeah, first time today Dawson Sutton has been up in the top 5 at least for a good while. That last run on the newer tires, middle of the race, struggled a little bit. We'll see how he runs down the stretch. 64 laps remain.
Majeski still the command car. Dustin Smith holding his own in that second spot, about 2 seconds behind the leader Majeski, who debuted the new Menards color scheme for the super late model program just when they rolled the car off the truck here at Five Flags for the Derby. It was recently announced he will be back at Thor Sport Racing in 2026, but sliding over to the Menards number 88 that Matt Crafton has raced for so many years. They've kicked off this partnership that will also translate to the super late model program, trying to debut the relationship in ultimate style. Dustin Smith being cheered on by a significant other in second spot in an unbelievable run for this driver and team today, still running in second.
Crazy good run for Dustin Smith. He's one of the surprises, much like Jace Hansen a year ago when he finished in the top 5 in the 4th position. As Tiffany looks on, watching the 33 of Dustin Smith run in second. Gavin Bushell is up to 3rd, his highest spot in the running order today. Preston Peltier has hung out inside the top 5 all day in 4th, and Dawson Sutton rounding out the top 5.
And the top 5 spots still under contention as Nassi has started to close in on Dawson Sutton for that 5th spot. Peltier I don't think Peltier has been further back than 5th at any point in this race. He's been in the top 5 all day long, except for when they were off strategy and he restarted 7th. Peltier and company have a lot to be proud of. It's been a stout effort for the veteran driver in his return to the Derby, with Nassy starting to reel in Sutton for 5th.
Yeah, Nassy's car looks much better after the restart, after the tire change. Said they didn't really make any adjustments, but whatever was the issue, maybe the tires just went away. Stephen Nassy coming forward, about to move back into the top 5.
And they're all starting to reel in Gavin Bichelle, who is running in 3rd position. Peltier, Sutton, Nassy. There's your 4 cars that are about to start ratcheting things up here for the final spot on the podium.
Yeah, I think Nassy's a little bit better than the 3 in front of him. It's one thing to catch him, though, and one thing to pass him, especially at this stage of the race, whenever they're going to be a little more defensive, trying to hold their positions. Gavin Bichelle running in the 3rd position right now, having a nice day, Jim.
He wants to become the 4th 16-year-old to win this race. And I'm telling you, he just told his radio to his guys, I am going to give this thing everything I got until I get to the 91 and I'll pass him too. He's fired up behind that wheel. He's coming forward, putting on the lap times. You can see Bichelle's on the move.
Unfortunately, Bichelle is going to lose that 3rd spot to Preston Peltier. Dawson Sutton, Stephen Nassy closing in as well as Peltier is back to 3rd. Bichelle, since losing that spot, was quick to try to get back to the inside and cover the bottom of the racetrack.
Dawson Sutton's under attack from Stephen Nassy. Bichelle might fall back into both of those drivers' grasps, though it looks like Bichelle got back up on the wheel, trying to go back after Preston Peltier. Peltier looking for that first Derby win in the 48 car, knows it is go time.
And since losing that 3rd spot, Bichelle now has been able to kind of keep pace with Peltier since he got back up into the 3rd position, with Peltier trying to better his best effort, which was a 5th place finish in 2019 with his wife watching on.
Preston Peltier is pulling away from those 3 competitors after moving into the 3rd spot. Majeski continues to lead. See what the lead is now. We saw it at about 1.6 earlier. How about 4.4 seconds? One of the bigger leads of the day for Ty Majeski.
But Majeski is in some pretty dense lap traffic now. Kyle Busch in the 51, Derek Griffith in the 12, Chase Pinsino in the 14, putting that big lead in a bit of jeopardy at the moment. He's still nursing over a 4-second lead, but Majeski is going to have to be very patient and methodical, working through some of these cars not handling so well with 50 laps to go.
Majeski's so strong today. Watch this car just rotate the bottom line, that yellow line, almost perfection every lap as he just paints the line with his left side tires. Down here, takes a little bit of an entry off the bottom of the track and then cuts across to the bottom. Car hooked up. Toby Noodleman in that group, obviously always fast at the Derby, looking to win his 3rd.
Got a quick glimpse there of Stephen Nassy in his office for the remaining 50 circuits of this race, continuing to try to close up what's been about a car length and a half advantage for Dawson Sutton, who has a slight slip off the 2nd turn. This the fight for the final spot in the top 5, with Nassy again trying to mount a charge.
He's closed on the 26 a couple of times, hasn't been able to move by him, and not sure he's fast enough right now to get by the 26 of Dawson Sutton. Maybe just a little bit off of how that car was a year ago for Stephen Nassy, but Sutton is fighting a loose handling condition, slides up the track and opens the inside lane. Nassy back into the top 5.
It was last year where Nassy had a late race charge, getting right up to the back bumper of eventual winner Caden Honeycutt in the final corner. A year ago on our drive to the Derby, Nassy gave a very candid interview with Matthew Dillner, talking about how this is the one he thinks about each and every year, and the one that he wants more than absolutely anything. He's up into the top 5, coming to 45 to go, trying to put himself in contention for the Derby victory in his 15th try.
Ty Majeski continues to lead. It's at 4.3 seconds despite working the traffic. Dustin Smith running by himself, 0.6 of a second ahead of Preston Peltier, who is in 3rd. We're watching 4th and 5th. Gavin Bichelle, Stephen Nassy, 4th and 5th, and Nassy has run down the 24 of Bichelle. And if for nothing else, you'd like to put yourself up into 3rd or 4th. If you get a yellow, probably not going to be able to catch Ty Majeski without a yellow. Right now, Nassy is 6.3 seconds behind the leader.
think, Adam, as Nassi has a bit of a slip off the corner, I think the timing of a next potential yellow is the one thing that all these crew chiefs are going to be sweating if they still got a set of tires available to them with still only about, let's see, 13 cars still on the lead lap as things stand, as Nassi applies some pressure on Bushell off the corner. Check that, 14 cars still on the lead lap, with Nassi starting to heat up the fight for fourth.
Right, so who takes a chance? If you're in 7th spot, you take a chance to put on fresh tires. If we get a yellow with 30 to go, I think you do, if you don't have a car capable of winning. But Ty Majeski won't. He's going to be out front. There's no way anybody beats him unless 2nd through 14th come to the pits. And here's Nassi for the move on Bushell. A little bit of contact. Bushell opened up the bottom going into 1 a little bit, then tried to protect. Slight contact. 24 of Bushell up the track. Here comes Dawson Sutton along with him. Gavin Bushell fading back a little bit now in this final run of the race.
And Cole Raz, since burping the back tires, is starting to make his way further up, and problems for our defending Snowball Derby champion, the driver who had to borrow a motor from Stephen Nassi's camp on the pit lane with the hood up. It will not be back-to-back Snowball Derby titles for Caden Honeycutt. What's up, Jim?
Caden Honeycutt just said something broke on the left front. Perhaps a sway bar bolt or something like that. The handle went away quickly. That's the mad dash down the pit road. They popped the hood up. They're looking on the right side, but he thinks it's something on the left foot suspension that went awry. Out of defending race number 21.
Honeycutt did a great job coming back from that spin on lap number 39 to be in the top 10 when the race officially comes undone for the driver who's moving over to Tricon Garage in 2026 for a full Truck Series season, as the battle for second starts to close up here. Preston Peltier is on a roll, and he has reeled in Dustin Smith, albeit 5 seconds behind Majeski, but here comes Peltier.
Preston Peltier, last time by the line, was about a 10th quicker than Majeski. And a spin over in turn 2. Cole Butcher has gone around. The champion of 4 different racing series in 2025. His bad day continues as the Canadian Cole Butcher has spun in turn number 2 with 36 to go. And now here come the decisions to be made. Not a lot of laps on these tires, but we know it makes a difference. If you're, what, 5th, 6th, 7th on back, you know you have nothing for Ty Majeski right now. I'm not saying you're going to have anything for him, even if you take fresh rubber.
And with Honeycutt having his problems, only 13 cars are on the lead lap. Derek Thorne unofficially should be the recipient of the free pass here, so it'll be 14 cars on the lead lap with about 35 laps to go after caution number 8 flies for Cole Butcher's slide off the second turn. Boy, Adam, this is perhaps right on the threshold of when these teams may have wanted this caution to come out, because there's still a bit of a window to do something different should we get a short run and another yellow with a late sprint to the finish.
You're going to see some come to the pits and take tires, and I think most of our drivers that are on the lead lap do have a set of fresh tires. They either took them on that first run and didn't take them on the second, so it will be a controlled pit stop. Bad break for Cole Butcher, just a rough day. He's won the last couple of years for the Appalachian Sucker Punch Stars Tour. The Stars Tour returns for their 2nd race of the season to Flags Speedway, one to mark on the calendar during the month of March. March 13th and 14th, you'll see the Appalachian Sucker Punch ASA Stars National Tour right here at Five Flags.
We got confirmation from the pit lane that at least we know Ty Majeski, Dustin Smith, Preston Peltier, they do in fact have another set of tires waiting in the wings for them to take hold of. We believe that's the trend for just about all the lead lap cars. And we're about to see if this is what is going to set up a sprint to the finish with everyone going full bore from this point out. If they can all get a new set of Hoosier F45 stars in their first year at the Derby, Majeski is going to lead the parade to the pit lane.
Little bit surprised that Majeski came to the pits, but this shows he didn't want to leave a set of tires in the pits. And I think only a couple of drivers stayed out. With that being the case, that's good news for Ty Majeski. What would have hurt his chances is if 5 or 10 cars would have stayed out. That would have put him in a bad position. But tires are so important here, even though we saw him continue to hold the lead with tires that had about 150 laps on them earlier.
Let's go to Bob.
Well, guys, I was a little surprised, too, as Adam mentioned. Maybe Ty Majeski thinking about staying out, but his crew chief, Toby Noodleman, just told me absolutely not. They want to put these tires on the car, and they believe that it's going to be a big difference if they stayed out, that everybody else behind them with that fresh rubber, it would just mean that much more. So they wanted to be safe, not sorry here. Ty Majeski leading this one. Second place is Dustin Smith, and Dustin, they too said, let's just come in and get tires. Really no changes to this race car. Dustin Smith thinks he's got a shot here today, Jim Trado.
Yeah, they certainly want to win on, or try to race for the win on newer tires. Same is the case for Preston Peltier, our pole sitter. They're adding tape to the nose. There's only about an 1.25 inch margin, and they're going to tape off more of that nose again. If the cooler temps allow, that's better aerodynamics for Preston Peltier. They are changing 4 tires. It took quite a bit of time on the right front, making a small shock adjustment as his Hoosier tires, the final set of 4 at 45 stars, go on the 48 car.
Yeah, I think the key point here is Majeski. I think they didn't want to be the only car left out. If they stay out on the racetrack, there's a chance that second on back would have all come in and had fresh tires. At that point, he might have been in trouble. He would have needed about 5 cars to stay out with him for it to work out. Those second on back, I think they all know they have nothing for Ty Majeski. I'm surprised maybe 5 or 10 cars didn't get together and stay out to make him have to race through the field, but he's that good today that it would have taken something drastic to try to keep Ty Majeski from being the favorite to win.
Let's get another Joe's Racing Products pit update from Bob Dillner.
Some tape on the grill for Dawson Sutton. Chad Kendrick, his crew chief, telling me this car is still wicked loose. So they made an air pressure adjustment as well. Going for broke, it's Hail Mary time at the Snowball Derby.
And this is probably the most unique facet of this race, to the point I'd say since we started the race, because everyone is going to be on the same strategy now. The sets of tires are bolted on the cars. It's going to be a short sprint to the finish. Everyone is going to be full bore from this point forward. No differentiation in old tires versus new tires. And I think also, Adam, we probably saw some drivers electing to take it a little bit easy on the beginning of these runs. Now we're going to see everyone all the way, foot to the floor, to settle the Snowball Derby. Ty Majeski still the leader. We'll come back and see who wins the 58th annual Snowball Derby.
Track to the trail, from your everyday cars and trucks to championship-winning vehicles, Eibach has you covered. Race, lift, lower, high-performance suspension for all. Eibach, the #1 choice of champions. Proudly made in the USA, engineered to win.
Hey, this is Kyle Larson, and you're watching the best pavement, dirt, and drag racing, all live on Flow Racing. You have great racing on the track, you have great crowds. 400 race cars.
Laps to go. Corner number 4 at the line. Brandon Overton.
The fastest growing name in the motorsports industry is the Racers brand of safety gear and apparel. Winners wear K1.
Tickets for the 2026 season of Speed at Worldwide Technology Raceway are on sale now. The Bomarito Automotive Group 500, June 6th and 7th. The NASCAR Cup Series Enjoy Illinois 300, O'Reilly Auto Parts Series, and Confluence Music Festival, September 11th through 13th. And the NHRA Napa Auto Parts Midwest Nationals, October 2nd through 4th. Save big by going to WWTRaceway.com.
The 300-lap challenge known as the Snowball Derby is about to be settled with a 29-lap Saturday night short track style sprint to the finish, with every car in the lead lap electing to come down and bolt on a fresh set of Hoosier F45 Star tires, with the dominant car, Ty Majeski, serving as the pace setter for this restart. Dustin Smith alongside the 33. 29 laps to go to settle the Snowball Derby. Smith is sideways up top as the field stacks up behind him.
Very fortunate not to pile him up in turn 4. Plenty of contact, even more. Peltier sends it in. Nassi sees an opening. He looks 3 wide. What will happen in 3?
Nassi checks up, Peltier up into the side of Smith again. Nassi down low, contact off turn 4. Majeski's gone. Peltier with a masterful save on the front stretch.
Oh, gloves are off right now. Looking to thread the needle was Boschel. That opening closed up. Peltier back smooth again. Nassi tried to make that attempt to the bottom when they were beating and banging in front of him. He's looking for the second spot now. Dustin Smith is right ahead. This was huge for Ty Majeski. He has left the field behind in his dust.
And Nassi knows he's got to go. He's trying to get by the 33 car now because he doesn't want Majeski to check out should this race stay green. Here he comes again to the back bumper of Smith, but slides up off turn 4.
Got a little push coming off of turn 4 that time. Smith able to get away by a car length. Nassi runs him back down in 1 and 2. Sutton, after some adjustments and the fresh tires, they're trying to get that car tightened up. He's inside the top 5, and here's Casey Klein from Washington. Impressive today, the run for the 1.
Here comes Nassi up the inside of Smith. He's got the door open. Let's see if he can complete the pass off 2. On board with Nassi, trying to match the position he held here a year ago, and he's got the pass made in 3.
Nassi putting a little more wheel into it than we saw earlier. It looks like they've gotten that car tightened up from the loose handling condition earlier. He will leave 3rd, 4th, and 5th behind, but Ty Majeski has built now a 2.4 second lead over the rest of the field. Sutton now to the inside for 3rd.
And how about Casey Klein, the Quincy, Washington driver, told us on qualifying night, I got a chip on my shoulder from how my Derby adventures went last season when the car owner he was driving for elected to make a change. He's trying to get to the inside of Smith in 3.
Casey Klein rocketing into the top 5 now. Smith, after such a good run middle of this race, holding on to 2nd for a long time, has now fallen to 5th. He's got a little bit of trouble. 24 Boschel climbs the left rear. He will go around on the backstretch. So does Smith. Spins in 3. We will have a yellow late in the race.
Smith had his hands full off of turn number 2. Boschel got to the back bumper. The 2 made contact, and both have a prolonged slide down the back straightaway. Boschel's car doesn't appear too badly damaged, and Smith also was able to keep it off the wall.
Gavin Boschel climbing the left rear. Car looks to be mostly unscathed. Dustin Smith was hanging on to a car that was not handling nearly as well as it was. Just 20 or 30 laps to go. Wonder if he had an issue developing because he was trying to hold off his fellow competitors and the 33 of Smith. In doing so, big contact and yellow with 20 laps to go.
For how big that contact was, very surprising that there is not more damage to Smith's car. As you can see, the back deck lid kind of popped up and somewhat into the trunk area of that number 33 car. Smith trying to perhaps reassume his position or to express some displeasure with Gavin Boschel. And that may have immediately cut down the left front tire on the 24 car.
Yeah, it's definitely flat on the left front. So Boschel will turn left down into pit road to change that left front tire. We're going to have a shootout that will be just over 10 laps. Jim?
Gavin Boschel under the caution off of turn 2 said, I think my car's okay. That's until he got wiped out by Dustin Smith. The left front is down on the rim. Right front damage was not concerning to Gavin. He said, I think the car's all right, but not anymore. A lot of damage on the left front. Checking the right front as well. Bushell was running 6 at the time. Everything went sideways on his Flow Racing Camry.
Saw the tire rubber on the right front of Bushell's nose. Man, what a frantic couple of laps we had, beating and banging up inside our top 5 and all the way through the field. We saw multiple attempts at 3 wide. Nassie backed out one time, then saw it again when Preston Peltier went in. Door slammed the car to the outside. Then Nassie made the contact with Peltier. He got shuffled back a little bit and in fact has come to pit road under this yellow. But the work continues to the Flow Racing 24 of Gavin Bushell. 18 to go, and Stephen Nassie, Dawson Sutton, Casey Klein all going to have a final opportunity to go after Ty Majeski. Back down to our Joe's Racing Product Pit reporter, Bob Dillner.
Flat tire for Preston Peltier. That's why they came down pit road to address that car. A bad break. Dustin Smith now in the pit area as well. You can see the damage on the back end of that machine. They're trying to get it all squared away. They got the Barabon back there to make sure that everything stays in place, but bad breaks for both Preston Peltier and Dustin Smith, who were second and third on that most recent restart.
Thanks, Bob. Now, if we thought the gloves were off on the restart with 29 laps to go, imagine what we're about to see. Let's go back and see what happened here. And this is coming off turn 2. There's the contact up on the left rear. Bushell into Smith. Smith did everything he could to try to save the car down the backstretch until it finally went all the way around on the approach to turn number 3.
Yeah, the 33 just wasn't up to speed, and Bushell was there peeking to the inside. Smith was just slightly off the bottom, and then Smith tried to protect coming off at 2, and Bushell went up on the left rear.
Bushell able to get that car stopped before it made contact with the inside retaining wall. And then this was after the incident took place. Here's Smith expressing his frustrations, immediately slicing through the left front tire of Bushell's car.
A couple of drivers that were very capable of top 5 runs today. That most likely will not happen now, as we'll be just over 10 laps to go when we see a restart. Smith being held at the end of pit road, ready to go back trackside. Majeski, Nassie, be making up our front row for the restart. Bob?
Down here with Alex Query, crew chief for Dustin Smith. How's that race car, and what was Dustin saying?
He hadn't said a whole lot. Race car was really good till that little melee went on. Kind of had a little trouble at the restart. Got the right rear a little hot, falling back, trying to settle in, and ran into some mess there.
That whole few laps was a mess for a few drivers. It was pretty aggressive, and that's what the Derby's all about late in the going. We've seen this, and we probably haven't seen our last yellow flag of this race. Gloves were off on the last one. They're really going to be off on this one.
15 laps to go right now with Ty Majeski ahead of Stephen Nassie, Dawson Sutton, Casey Klein, and Jake Garcia. Your top 5 as things run. We have documented that Majeski looking to become just the 2nd driver to have more than 2 Snowball Derby wins. Rich Bickle, the one who of course has the most at 5. Majeski trying to get the chance to get his 3rd, while Nassie's been trying to win this race for 15 years now. Is this the time in which he's going to put it all on the table and see if he can get around what has been pretty much the dominant car so far today in Majeski?
Majeski's been so good year in, year out here at the Derby. Crossed the line first back in 2019. Had that win pulled away in tech for an infraction. Travis Braden ended up taking home the Tom Dawson Trophy that day. Can Nassie race with Majeski? No one has had anything for the 91 today. Even on older tires earlier, Majeski was so strong. Could this be the final restart of the race? 14 to go, 13 at the line. Majeski goes before the cookout starting box, and we're back underway at 5 flags.
Nassie's going to get right down to 2nd and see if he can do anything to keep with as the caution flag is back out.
And that's going to be for Majeski going before the starting box, I'm pretty sure, down in turn 4. That one was pretty obvious. And he's been so good on restarts today inside the starting box, but he knows it's go time now. He doesn't want to get caught with a bad restart. So Majeski will do it again. That one got called back. It ends up working out okay in that situation for Stephen Nasse, though, because he was able to get to the bottom. The chances that he'd be able to pass Ty Majeski in the outside lane would be very slim.
And a problem for one of our top 5 finishers in last year's Snowball Derby, Jace Hansen, on the pit lane as the field gets set to try it again for the restart. It'll be 11 laps to go. Majeski, Nasse to settle the 58th annual Snowball Derby, and we're back underway.
And this time, Majeski waited a little longer till he got close to the line, and it's a battle for second spot. Dawson Sutton inside. Nasse trying to hold off the 26, and does. He clears him in 3. Now he needs to go after the 91 of Majeski. Side by side for 4th. Inside, Jake Garcia having a nice day today. Casey Klein trying to hold him off.
Garcia up to the inside, and we're getting reports now. Perhaps there could be a penalty issue to the number 91 car. We're going to wait for further confirmation as they come down the front straightaway. Garcia in front of Klein, who got tagged by Cole Raz, and the contact continues into turn 1.
Raz got to the bottom, 3 wide. Look at Finch make the 2-for-1 move off of corner number 2, picks up the spot. 8 laps to go for the leader, Ty Majeski, Stephen Nasse, and it is the black flag. He went before the starting box after the warning, and he went before the first line. New leader, Stephen Nasse. Unbelievable break for Ty Majeski, the dominant car today, and also Cole Raz is off the pace.
Raz may have a flat tire. Majeski has yet to answer the black flag. They are going to stop scoring the number 91. Raz makes it to the pit lane, and Stephen Nasse will inherit the race lead of the Snowball Derby with 6 to go at the line.
I wondered if that second one would get called back. He did go before the first line of the starting box. It was closer, but not quite there, and it got called after the first one got called back, and that was the penalty, and Stephen Nasse is the official leader of the race. Nasse officially leading. Scoring is stopped on Ty Majeski. Second place, Dawson Sutton. Third is Jake Garcia.
And this race is not over. A half second is all that separates Dawson Sutton and Stephen Nasse. Majeski is going to plead his case on the racetrack, but he is no longer scored as the leader. Nasse, who has lost this race in several variations and fashions, may have one coming back to him in a unique manner, but he still has to hold on for 4 more laps.
He's pulling away at the front of the field from the 32nd starting position. Going to be 3 more laps to go this time for Nasse. Majeski still out front of the field, most likely won't pull in, even though scoring is stopped on the 91.
It has been very well documented, very well publicized how badly Stephen Nasse wants to win this race. He's won just about every other major super late model contest throughout his racing career. And with 2 laps to go, Nasse, with a car still in front of him but no longer for position, may find himself exactly where he wants to be as he sizes up the final lap of the 2025 Snowball Derby.
Nasse makes his way into turn number 1, the official leader of the race. 15th try at the Snowball Derby. Second place a year ago, came up just short in turn 3. The Pinellas Park, Florida driver, 1 win in 2025. It comes at the Snowball Derby. Unbelievable. They are fired up at the Nasse pit stall. Ty Majeski, heartbreak. Had a restart called back. Went a little before the first line of the zone again the second time and was penalized. And Stephen Nasse claims the 58th Snowball Derby presented by Flow Racing.
Nasse snaps a streak for 4 years in a row. The winner of the Derby started outside of the front row. Majeski, who was black flagged there, ironically started outside of the front row. Nasse from 32nd on the grid. It was in 2019 that he crossed the finish line first here, but lost the win in tech following the race. Nasse, Sutton, Garcia, Klein, your top 4. Finch with a great battle back. Craig, Fredrickson, Peltier with top 10 efforts. But this place is going to be rocking tonight with Nasse getting the victory. And there's Ty Majeski parking his car on the front straightaway, obviously displeasured with the outcome of this race. But the one that got away for Stephen Nasse has come back to him. in a rather unique and dramatic way.
Oh, this one will be talked about for a long time, no doubt. Drama, controversy, and two of the best in Snowball Derby each year. Ty Majeski, Stephen Nasse involved at the end. Nasse coming from 32nd on the starting field to claim victory here this afternoon. The Mitch Smith Auto Service Oasis Cabaret, number 51 of Nasse, taking the victory, and again had not won in 2025. This one could make up for that. Bob?
Back to the front 2 years in a row. Stephen Nasse climbs out victorious in the Snowball Derby. Last year, a second place run. This one is going to be emotional. He's crossed the finish line first in the past. Disqualified in tech. You can see overjoyed right now. His entire team. His dad's down here, his mom's down here as well. But Stephen Nasse, how does this one feel?
Man, I'll tell you, I hate it for Ty. He had a really good car, and, I don't know if we would have been able to get by him, but I'll take it like this. I gave him one before, he gave me one now, and, man, I'm just tickled pink right now. This is amazing. I never thought I'd get back here, and it just feels damn good.
I was going to say, let's talk about that emotion. The frustration years ago, you get to this point, you don't get to keep that Tom Dawson trophy. What does this feel like in terms of redemption to come back and win today?
And it means everything. This is really important to me and my family, my sisters, my niece, my nephews, aunts, uncles, just everybody, my whole crew. I'm happy to finally get it done. It's been a long, hard few fought years, but between my sponsors and all you fans, we finally pulled through.
Down but not out. You are not good this week. You battled to get in through a last chance race. You get the victory and win here today. And Stephen Nasse, this is your first super late model victory of the season. Is it the best of your career?
Man, I'll tell you, I've been saying for the back half of the year that this would make up for my winless season, and it damn sure does.
How about your mom and dad and this team tonight? How much emotion is this, and how much of a party is it going to be?
I'm sure it's going to be a party. I was fortunate enough to have one of my good friends, Pat Jett, and Jet Motorsports. They won it last year, and we're going to go hit up Ruby Tuesdays again and have a little celebration.
15 times and Snowball Derby winner, finally, is Stephen Nasse. Anthony Campy, his car owner here in Victory Lane as well, and they will celebrate tonight, Jim Trado.
Ty Majeski thought he won his third Snowball Derby. 2 restarts at the end decided it. One was called off. The other one cost you this win, Ty. Your thoughts?
Yeah, good job, man. It's all right. Yeah, I don't know. I felt like I was being pretty consistent. The first one I certainly jumped. We got chatter that the 51 was gonna try and jump, and I was trying to anticipate that, and we got a mulligan, and the rule is to pick up the pace to the line, and I thought I did that, and obviously then fired. So the way the rule is written is not black and white, so it leaves a lot of questions on and kind of balls and strike calls, and yeah, I don't know. Don't have much to say. Fast Menards Ford Fusion with iRacing on the hood, obviously the dominant race car. So. Yeah, I'd like to talk to somebody, so wherever race control is, I'd like to at least have a conversation about it.
The decision to stay out was a part of perhaps maybe could become a protest or just a discussion?
I don't know. I feel like we won this race, had the best car all day, and yeah, we're going to try and argue it, of course.
Obvious frustration there from Ty Majeski, who thought that he had his third Tom Dawson trophy in hand. For the awarded winner, Nasse, who took that car home, it was the third time that Nasse has been the hard charger in this race in the last 4 years, this time charging all the way to the top of the pylon for that victory. The driver who chased him down to the checkered flag, continuing a great run of momentum in a super late model, is standing by with Bob Dillner.
It's been a very good end of the season for Dawson. Sutton, you come up just a little bit short here today. Does that feel even a little bit worse than finishing 5th, 6th, or 7th?
Oh, yeah, it feels terrible, but I just can't thank my Rackley War team enough for giving me such a fast race car all weekend. This is my dream to win this race, and it really just sucks to finish second, but hopefully I can come back next year and hopefully get a win, but I'm just super thankful for all my guys and my sponsors.
What was the difference today? I was talking to your crew chief, Chad Kendrick, a lot, but what was the difference for you today to finish here or one spot ahead?
Yeah, like I said, it was just a really up and down day, and I'm honestly just thankful to finish second. I don't even know where we were running about halfway through that race, but I fell back really far, but I'm just super thankful to, climb my way back up and finish second in this race.
Dawson Sutton, second place in the Snowball Derby. He had a very loose race car today.
Jake Garcia with his second top 5, comes home 3rd today in the car that Ricky Turner. You guys worked on this thing. You made it through the LCQ. You knew it had speed, but boy, when that car came down on pit road on pace laps, I said, oh boy, what's up for Jake? Nice way to run through the field to finish 3rd.
Yeah, thank you. The pace laps deal was just because there was leaves and stuff all over the racetrack when we got going. But yeah, I want to thank my guys for giving me a really good race car. We made good adjustments between the LCQ and the race, and got up front, pretty quickly. We were up to second there pretty early in the race. So, yeah, I want to thank my guys for that. I felt like we were really good, competitive with the 51 and 26. Just had a restart there where we were stuck on the top behind some slow cars and fell back quite a bit and lost a bunch of track position there. So, yeah, I mean, third isn't what we're satisfied with, but overall, it's a good day for us, and looking forward to the next one with this group.
This tire is going to produce comers and goers. You were on the comers list only. You never seemed to drop back much. When it came to this tire wear, how much was a management style for you? How much was it learning as you went because you had so little practice before the green flag?
Yeah, there was a lot of tire management. I knew it was going to wear out more than the ST tires that we've been running on, but this was even more than those were. So, yeah, I like to see a lot of tire wear. It makes you actually drive the race cars. And, yeah, so I thought the tire was fine. And, yeah, looking forward to running some more of these races when I get a chance.
Jake Garcia finishes 3rd in his 7th in the last 8 Snowball Derbies.
Thanks, Jim. How about our top 3, all starting well outside the top 10? As we mentioned, Stephen Nasse, the winner, 32nd. Dawson Sutton rolled off 12th. And the driver we just heard from, who finished in 3rd position, Jake Garcia, 34th in what was a fast and frantic run to the finish in the 58th annual Snowball Derby, with Nasse down there celebrating top honors. We have a little bit more still to unpack here from Flags Speedway. The race may have been a day late, but not $1 short. Nasse, $50,000 winner. Richer will put a bow on it when we come back. 15 years of trying, it pays off for Stephen Nasse. The Tom Dawson Trophy and $50,000. May not have had the best car that he's ever brought to Pensacola, but he ends up the winner today. A scenario that has played out for him so many times before, and he is awarded with the 2025 Snowball Derby check and prize.
What a run for Stephen Nasse, and this year has been a tough one. There you see when the discussion took place between Scott Midland, one of the race officials, Tim Bryant, and Majeski and his crew.
Yeah, you see Tim Bryant down there as well, as you mentioned, talking it through with the team. Very cordial conversation. After Majeski told us he believes he should be celebrating his 3rd Snowball Derby victory. But after the warning was issued and a secondary jump of the final restart, Majeski black flagged from the lead. Stephen Nasse awarded the win. While that was going on, the presentation of the trophy for Stephen Nasse has been waiting a long time for the chance to embrace that Tom Dawson Trophy and get his name added to it. And you can tell how much this means for Nasse and that group. It's been a long weekend, but we finally were able to get this race underway earlier today on this Monday afternoon, and this was Preston Peltier leading us down for the start, but it did not take too long for Majeski to get past him for the top spot.
Ty Majeski so strong early. He rode behind for a few laps, and then it was go time for Majeski, and once out front, painting that yellow line through turns 1 and 2 all day. Jace Hansen, Hudson Bolger racing toward the front earlier. Bolger saved it. That opened up the door to the inside for Hayden Plybon as he made the move.
The battles would continue all throughout. While Bolger started to slide a little bit backwards in that 17 car, but starting up towards the front 3. And this is Carson Brown, who had a very fast car working his way further forward as well.
And there around goes the 21 of Honeycutt. He had made the move to the inside of Hudson Bolger for a yellow early on in the race.
Majeski remained in control. Spencer Davis had a great car throughout most of the race as well. He settled into second. Peltier, who dropped back from the pole to the bottom portion of the top 5, would then go up and get around Jake Finch for a battle for position. The hardest crash of the day, Carson Brown, after the caution flag waved, tagged by Cole Butcher and hard into the wall.
Hayden Plybon did such a great job to avoid him, and for Carson Brown, that's a terrible problem there. I mean, he was really good today.
After a round of pit stops, Majeski mired in the middle of the pack with the strategy they committed to. All the while, Stephen Nasse, who started in 32nd spot, was on a blazing trail up towards the front of the field. The same could be said for Dawson Sutton, who was making moves as well.
Dawson Sutton was a little bit off today, still ends up finishing second as they fixed it toward the end. Buddy Shepard goes around, front end ripped off by Derek Thorne in the 96.
Ending his second attempt at the Derby for Buddy Shepard. Majeski would work his way back up into command of the race for a late restart. Then Spencer Davis and Jake Garcia found themselves in a tussle, with Nasse taking advantage, continuing to charge forward.
Preston Peltier made the move on Jake Garcia late in the race. And Dustin Smith makes the move on Garcia. Cole Raz, what a day he had. Many times running in that second position. There's the move he makes on the 33 of Dustin Smith as well. And Raz continued his way forward on his way up into the second spot.
In fact, Raz would get just about to the back bumper of Ty Majeski for the race lead. This is him making that move up further forward up the running order, with Raz having an amazing car. But a spin of the back tires on the upcoming restart would cost him some spots. He would fall into the top 5. Gavin Bichelle in a backup car would race his way up to a podium spot.
Yeah, at this point, we're thinking Gavin Bichelle maybe on his way to competing for a victory. Stephen Nasse makes the move on Dawson Sutton as Nasse was making big moves late in the going. There's the move on Bichelle as he got to the inside.
Nasse would make that pass on Bichelle. Also following through would be Cole Raz, who was trying to regroup after the restart hiccup. Another caution with another frantic restart as well, with a couple of cars making contact in the midfield. Preston Peltier, Dustin Smith, Stephen Nasse avoiding a big pile up off turn 4. What a save by Peltier.
Yeah, there were a couple saves there. This one wasn't a save as Bichelle and Smith got tangled up. Smith was unhappy. And there's Nasse and the crew celebrating on Stephen as he races off of turn 4 to the double checkered.
And in his 15th attempt, Stephen Nasse lays claim to the Tom Dawson Trophy and the Snowball Derby prize, climbing out in front of a very impressive crowd to have to return to the track on a Monday afternoon after the event was rained out last evening. And it is Stephen Nasse and company celebrating a Snowball victory. Let's take a look at the unofficial results. It was Nasse, Sutton, Garcia coming to the line. 1, 2, 3. Casey Klein caps off an unbelievable official Snowball Derby debut. Jake Fincher, top 5.
How about the day Matt Craig had with a team other than his family-owned operated team? The Bob Lyons 44 taking 6. Ty Fredrickson, unfortunately we didn't see him on TV a lot. Maybe that was a good thing. He stayed out of trouble, stayed on the lead lap, and he finishes 7th in his debut at the Derby.
Peltier rebounded from a flat tire to finish in 8th spot. Plybon 9th, and Derek Thorne from monster trucking up over the top of Buddy Shepard's car ends up with a top 10 after all said and done, as we see the second page of finishers. Dustin Smith, who was involved in that spin, not the result that showed for that team. 14th there. Cole Butcher went for a spin of his own in 15th. Gavin Bichelle, we've documented his problems at the end of the race, 16th. And Kyle Busch, who just got off strategy, fell a few laps down, never able to get back up in contention.
Drivers that finished toward the back of the field, just outside of the top 20. Derek Griffith 4 laps down. They made the show through a transfer spot in the last chance. Ty Majeski ends up being scored 23rd when scoring stopped with 5 laps to go because of the restart infraction.
Defending champion Honeycutt, who ended up having a mechanical problem that put him out in 26th. And we'll see the rest of the field of starters. 36 cars were slated to start this race. 34 came to the green. Let's get some closing thoughts from our Joe's Racing Products pit reporters. We'll throw it back down to Bob Dillner and Jim Trado.
Wow, that's all I have to say. You come to the Snowball Derby, you can always anticipate there's going to be some drama. And there was plenty of drama this week. Started out with rain and ended actually at the end of the race with Ty Majeski getting penalized. He crosses the finish line first, but he had gotten that black flag. So Stephen Nasse winds up with the victory. But Jim, I want to ask you, because you were there in Stephen Nasse's pit down at the end or the beginning of pit road. What did you see with that front row coming to the restart?
I saw the first restart where Majeski made the run, and I saw the hands go in the air from Nasse's team on the pit box. The first initial restart here, they're supposed to accelerate through turn 3 into the restart zone and continue on. This is the second look we now have here in our Flow Racing. Majeski's in the box right by the line. He went later for sure. In view, he hit the button, I thought, at the line, but that's not my call to make.
Wow. Just incredible drama, certainly, and Scott Menlin as well as Tim Bryant were speaking with Ty Majeski when he parked his car in protest, if you will, to basically say he was dissatisfied with the call at the start-finish line while Stephen Nasse was climbing out of that car. So a lot of drama. It's going to be talked about for a long time. But I look to the rest of the field, Jim. Who else do you think had a great run here today that we're going to be talking about when we get down here next year?
The impressive run by the 9 first-timers. Those teenagers, man, they're loaded with talent. Gavin Bichelle overcame a couple of issues before he got involved late in the going, running in the top 10. Casey Klein had a great run again. The kid that has never raced the Derby, he's doing it 8 or 9 times in a pro and a super, but never in that stage, and he shined brightly from Washington. Minnesota's Ty Fredrickson, my last thought. That 16-year-old kid, he did a nice job. They made one rear spring adjustment, took a spring rubber out, and he was right there with them for the rest of it. But I will tell you, I have been able to follow Ty Majeski for his entire career. I first saw him in 2014, 2015. He first made the national team when he won the new Smyrna Speedway World Series of Asphalt Stock Car Racing in 2016, and he's won on to win a lot of races. He's won a lot of big races. He knows he wants to win more than one of the big races. He's been able to win the Snowball Derby twice. He's won the Rattler 5 times. He's won Oktoberfest 5 times. I say all that because he's had that success. He knows that feeling, but Bob, you've known Stephen Nasse for a long time. This has to be an overwhelming feeling for him to finally win the Derby.
It is, and I've known Stephen Nasse before he was even a teenager running late models down at New Smyrna Speedway. He's always had a heck of a lot of talent. He's always had the charisma. Some people like him, some people don't. But the bottom line is he loves super late model racing. He loves his team. He loves his family. And by the way, Mom and Dad were not able to be here because of the rain out yesterday. They had to go home and tend to the family business. So they're back in the west coast of Florida in Pinellas Park, Florida, actually working that business here today. But I'm sure they were watching, and I'm sure they have some tears in their eyes today because the Nasse family, a very emotional family. I remember when he won crossed that finish line first and was disqualified. The anguish, the sadness, the disappointment, and the anger that Stephen Nasse and that team and Chris Cater, the crew chief, who's also with him here today. It's redemption day for Stephen Nasse of sorts, because he was able to grab that Tom Dawson trophy, give that Snowball a good old kiss, and grab it officially for the first time. So I think that's what's interesting. You know, it's full circle for Stephen Nasse here at the Snowball Derby. That kid that began, you know, racing in late models before he was a teenager, ticked a lot of people off along the way, but you gotta love his hard-charging nature. Last year, he came from the back of the field to finish second. Today, in the back of the field to actually win this race. And I know that's something he's going to covet for the rest of his life.
30th last year to second, 32nd to second, first to the win this time. I thought, okay, he's got the second, now what he can do. And the team he has are animated, they're passionate. Anthony Campi has won the Snowball Derby, got to mention that too. The highest level of stock car racing in North America on a super late level played out here between Majeski, one of the best drivers in the last decade in any super late model category, and Stephen Nasse finally back in the big one, because he has raced across this country for wins. He's got several. He has championships. He's won the Blizzard Series, but Nasse can now be listed, pending post-race inspection, as a Snowball Derby champion.
And that's why he's smiling. That's why we're all here. We know there's going to be a lot of drama, and we saw it here today, guys.
Thanks, gentlemen. Great job down there over the course of the 4+ days that we've been here to the Flags Speedway on what is certainly going to be one that we remember for a very, very long time. You know, Bob was touching on the fact that, you know, Stephen Nasse's even got 2 different nicknames. Sometimes they would refer to him as Nasty Nasse, Classy Nasse. And as we welcome you back up into the Flow Racing broadcast booth, Adam, the one thing that is for sure, Stephen Nasse will now be forever remembered as a Snowball Derby champion.
And again, thought he had it in 2019. They lost it in Tech. Tech hasn't taken place yet. That's always a scary moment for the top 5. They've got to go through, and sometimes things happen. Left side weight infractions, or something like it did then for having a wrong brake component, unfortunately, for Stephen Nasse, and that one costing him a win in his first Derby. But man, what a run today for the 51 from 32nd to first. And Ty Majeski, you look back at the restart right before that starting box, going just a little bit too early, but it was right after one that he went, and he even admittedly said went too early on. Did he need to do it? That's the question. Did Stephen Nasse really have anything for the 91? Had he just waited till he got to the box? We'll never know. What a great race today, though, and we got the Snowball Derby in. Great job by all of the officials, the crews, the fans for coming back out and supporting today. It's been a long week.
Unbelievable weekend, one that we, of course, are never going to forget. Now, let's not forget there's more racing still to go here at Flags Speedway. Tomorrow, 4 p.m. Central Time, we'll be back on air at Flow Racing to help cover the support divisions that were impacted by all of the inclement weather that pretty much rocked the panhandle portion of Florida over the course of the last 4 days. As Stephen Nasse's car enters the room of doom, keep your eyes peeled across all social media outlets to see when that is in fact confirmed, if that car is given the check on the pass of post-race inspection. But Stephen Nasse crossing the finish line first as a Snowball Derby winner here in 2025. On behalf of the Tim Bryant-led crew that was put through the ringer here at Flags Speedway on the weekend, our entire hardworking and dedicated production team, Adam Mackey, Bob Dillner, Jim Trado, Robbie Harvey, as well as Bill Roth, I'm Eric Brennan. So long from Pensacola. We'll see you in 2026.